upstairs and grab my food real quick because legitimately, as I was hitting the start button, it got here. So I will be right back.
Okay.
Makes sense.
All right.
I should be expecting my lovely person within the next 10 minutes at the very earliest. I have to keep that in mind.
But guess how Rio got Nagi to actually put in work and not lounge around on the
Yeah, I'd love to hear this.
goalie net.
What motivated him to move his goddamn feet?
So you know how in the first selection, getting a certain number of goals gained you awards?
That's right. Namely, like food and the ability to get your cell phone back, which is I think the thing that he wants the most.
Oh yeah. Nagi, remember if you get 3 goals, you get your cell phone back. And he just went scoring.
You mean it? You promise?
And we also got to see how Zenitsu, how you say his name? The super fast guy?
Zangetsu.
So they all did the same thing that happened with Isagi and everyone. They were all fighting over the ball. Zangetsu took that shit and he scored, and he was an idiot, but he hated people being mean to him. So eventually you get to see the friendship between all of them brew together, and those background extras. So like, all right, we just keep passing the ball to them and we'll make it. We don't even need to score points, guys. We'll
That's
never
right.
see these extras again.
Exactly, because they gave up being a striker. Only those with the iron will to want the ball more than, I guess, their own lives, technically, can be a striker.
I don't like balls that much.
I think right now they're trying to go up. They're going up against Borrow, and no, they beat the Crocodile Twins because Nagi's Nagi.
Nagi is Nagi, and the Crocodile Twins are honestly their most intimidating thing was that it's literally just them two, and the fact that Kuon decided to fucking be a traitor for some fucking reason. Yep. So it's not much.
And then they went up against Borrow and practically elbow dropped him. Or I think they're still in the process of elbow dropping him. And then we get to see from their point of view of how they're going to lose to Usagi and friends. And frankly, I'm just excited to see I just want to hear Nagi's thoughts when he takes the ball and just does what they did, but better.
I just can't wait for it. He's going to be like, that was so easy. Why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't we do that? Great question, Nagi. I'm glad you asked.
Can I elbow drop people during soccer matches?
Depends.
You most certainly could. You most certainly should.
I mean, I would say that's against the rules. I'm pretty sure that's a foul, but I've seen basketball highlights. They don't care. They'll take it if it gets rid of somebody.
Yeah. Listen, up until the point where I actually got a psychopathic character that was willing to physically harm people outside of the matches in the show, I was dead ass going like, you talking disrespectful to me, I will break your ankle. I will find you in the sleeping quarters at night, your little sleeping bag in particular, and just go crack.
Eagle ain't woke 24/7 now. So I may need more clarification on this topic. Are we just talking about scenes or just things in general that's haha the funs?
Combinations. So if you just want to talk about a scene in a show that's not comedy focused, that's absolutely fine. Because I mean, comedy itself is just as much of a tool as it is a genre for narrative. But then I also just want to talk about actual comedy content.
Okay. Because, for me, I grew up watching horror movies because they were funny.
That's true. There is some, what is the word I'm looking for? there are some subjectivity to the nature of comedy, which is why I think it's a great topic to talk about. How can something be so? How can we leverage something that is inherently so subjective sometimes? What is funny and what is not funny? Obviously, this is going to be my excuse to talk about boondocks and maybe even fucking white chicks, as I mentioned to Ross last night.
Yeah, because there's now jokes that I still find hilarious, but it's like, ooh, that's not politically correct.
Yeah.
That ain't kosher.
But that's funny as shit.
Mm-hmm. Absolute brouhaha of a time. It ain't gonna hold you. Welcome back, dog.
So, because we're just going to be, talking on stream and everything, I'm playing some GTA, and like normal, I'm not doing missions or anything important. I was just flying around in a helicopter. So, as I was talking to Thomas, I looked at the screen to see our little bouncing meeples, and I clipped a pole, and that made me spin, and I clipped another pole. That made me spin, and then I slammed into another pole, and I blew up.
Jesus.
That's unfortunate.
You died.
Now I gotta get another helicopter for my submarine. GTA. This game is fucking stupid.
Definitely can be sometimes.
Oops, that's not my helicopter. That's my
Everything okay when you're in,
submarine.
Kaiser? You got your food and stuff?
Smacking your lips over there.
Shovel.
Since we're already on stream, does anyone have a random topic of conversation for this opening that we always do?
A little bit. Kaiser in particular had a hilarious reaction to my question earlier, but that's because one of the aesthetical ideas that I had for a video game is a platform fighter, very similar to Smash Brothers or even Rivals of Aether, with a bunch of little chibi characters that wield the utensils as weapons: fork, spoon, knife, chopsticks, and just a big old pair of hands, because us savages live out there that eat food with our hands. And I asked the question because I was like, I could only really think of those five as a Westerner with Western experiences. Obviously, I can always Google search if there are other utensils used in human society, but I just wanted to prompt a question to all of you first to see if there was anything more obvious that I had missed.
Are you going for like different spoon varieties? Because a tablespoon and a teaspoon are two different spoons.
For the record, since we are now on stream and live, you did not make that part clear.
I know.
I got confused because you said, and I quote, "What utensils do people use?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
pretty simple question.
Utensils.
Yeah, without the context, that's super confusing.
That's it.
May I ask where the confusion lay for you?
What the fuck do you want to know?
Does it matter?
Please. Yes!
The question was very clear.
There's no way for me to answer that doesn't make me sound like an asshole.
How?
What utensils do people use? Forks, spoons, knives?
Me and Ross did
the thing that you use all the time?
See, you didn't need to add that part.
And then I go, thank you for answering. I have not missed anything too obvious.
Well, why not have just let off with the I wanted to have chibis using these things as weapons?
Nothing changes.
Not. Let me do the work.
Yes, it does. It changed. I will. If you tell me that, I will do you a favor and I will take a metaphorical step backwards so that I can think of something that you may have forgotten.
Nah, just give him the obvious.
I appreciate your efforts.
But he has the obvious.
We didn't know that.
But we could have if he had just said what it was about. out.
That's not what he wanted.
Whoa. Right? Come back. Let's come back to me. Let's come back to my motivations for all of this. One, this is not an idea that I am planning to expand upon this very moment. A very out of the blue kind of question thinking, which I have been known to do for all of us. And then more importantly, the intended goal was to suss out obvious answers by using all of you as leveraging all of you as extra data points, not to have you be my brainstorm team. I appreciate your efforts, and I appreciate your sentiment to wanting to add that extra effort because you love me as such. But that is not the purpose of my question. And I am glad that you answered my question in the way
Well, I
that
didn't know that part
asked.
either.
I know you don't know that part because that just answers the question, please.
Well, it's confusing, man.
It's really not.
I hope you do not
Listen.
have this level of trouble with fucking police officers that are suspicious of your behavior.
Normally,
Of
I
course
say I'm
he
not
is.
going to
He has
answer
a-
any questions until I have my lawyer present.
Yeah, he has a
'Cause
lawyer,
I have
Mom.
one.
He's not going to answer anything.
I'll just need to get a lawyer.
Look.
True.
It's
all
that
you just got to
simple.
do is
I'm
just get
hiring
used
your mom
to.
as my lawyer first.
I think he takes priority.
Also, I want to say on that note, Kaiser, you're very much a protagonist in that instance.
But
I'm
yeah,
gonna
look,
mute
it's
and eat my food
it's
now.
simple.
Yes.
As soon as someone asks a question that's a friend, just give them an answer, no matter how stupid it is.
Thank you for also.
It
answering
wasn't
my
that
question.
it was stupid. It's that I didn't understand the context.
No, I just meant the
Also,
answer. The
it's a
answer is
question-
Stupid.
It's a
Just
question that definitely feels like a trap.
and get trapped.
Like, I'm gonna say something and it's really gonna be for follow up just fucking baka. You baka.
When has Thomas ever trapped you?
How about this?
At least 3 times.
When do I try to trap people with a utensil question?
Jo-
Like I understand you're
You
wary
can
of
trap
the
people
various-
with the weirdest things.
I understand that you want to. Your claims that I like trapping people is absolutely true with very specific certain kinds of questions that you know that you should not answer. For instance, who was in Paris, Kaiser?
What?
And that's an example of a trapping question. But the utensil one is fairly straightforward.
Do you guys remember when he went to Paris and he just did that song for like 3 hours?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I had actually forgotten he did that.
I am lost here.
The dude who does the
Maurice,
song,
who were in Paris?
I don't.
I understand the joke now.
Okay.
I don't understand.
Think of our resident
I'm gonna mute
chaotic
and
man
eat
from
now.
I think Chicago, Chi-Town,
I
Mr.
only
Kanye in the West.
I
Who is in
only
Paris, Maurice?
I only recognize this joke because of a TikTok where a guy was in bed and the song was playing, and he was like, "Alexa, can you please turn off this song?"
What
And-
song?
Yeah, Alexa was like, "What song?" So
What's the name of the song?
he just rolled over and went to sleep.
Who was in Paris?
I don't know.
Pardon me, I have my parent calling.
Gonna be lost here for a while, ain't I? Maybe I'm just too old to understand.
No,
You two need to talk now.
I don't want to talk.
We're running a podcast together. Suck it up, Buttercup. I've got a fucking massive Woody in my mouth.
Pause. Okay. I mean, we could talk about the massive Woody in your mouth, but I don't think it'll go over well for you in the comments.
It is
That's
a
crazy.
double burger with 3 grilled cheeses.
Is that what you
Christ.
call? Is that what y'all call it?
It's not what we call it. It's what the place calls it. And
I think this.
I don't.
Who's we?
I only found out
People in
about that
Paris?
song recently. I'd always heard it, but I'd never known the name.
Really? You've never known about the people in Paris song?
No,
I've
Wow.
never heard of
I'd
the song.
heard it, but I'd never heard the name.
Huh.
I don't.
this is what I'm trying to eat.
That,
Yeah.
that
Look,
is
you can
honestly quite surprising.
look. You can put it on screen. It's what you called it.
It's called a massive Woody Burger. I didn't name it.
Now we have.
Yes, that restaurant you were you showed me the menu of. That place is great. Haven't had a lick of food there, but the naming convention.
Speaking of comedy, I'm just going to use an old school comedy joke from back in my day. Pause.
Yeah.
Pineapples. If we want to get very specific
Pineapple
to Kevin
juice.
Hart.
Pause again.
Anyway, back to food with me.
Yes.
So randomly,
Now,
I
let's
saw someone talking about their disdain for the concept of the stereotype of the evil Superman, and I just found their dislike of it with no clear reasoning kind of silly to me, because sometimes you just like, you don't need a reason to dislike something, but if you're going to just say there's a horrible stereotype or a bad stereotype, that's when you have to bring in reasonings why. And it's like, I like the idea of an evil Superman. Evil Superman is a really good concept because it's literally just instantly an underdog story.
Well, the problem with the concept of Superman is it was a really good idea like 10 years ago, but now it's so overdone and we've got nothing but evil Superman since.
I mean, that's not
Didn't have a
even
bunch of
that's
evil
not particularly
Superman.
true. The concept of evil Superman has been here since, if I'm not mistaken, Ultraman, when they created Earth 3, which was around,
Yeah,
I believe, the 70s.
For comic book lovers, but for the general public, they didn't really know a whole lot about Superman other than he was in shitty movies. So for the greater population, a lot of them discovered evil Superman through like Zack Snyder bullshit.
Yeah,
If we're talking
you also have
if
Zod.
we're talking for a particular like kind of audience that are the youngest of us watching modern, but that's not all of us. There would also be a considerable number of people who saw that one standalone movie called Brightburn about basically the reinterpretation of
that came out during
Clark as a kid being a murderous sociopath.
Yeah, that came out during the era of evil Superman.
Right, or even something, or even because the
greater-
archetype of Superman has been around for so long, just any sort of non-symbol of the American way interpretation of him seems to have a more darker tint to him, like Will Smith's Hancock.
You get one? The drunk Superman.
All right.
The movie was fun.
So I
I'd
did have
never
a
seen a
question to
guy's
this.
a head get shoved up somebody's ass before, but that was great.
My question was, who the hell was calling me? Who's your favorite evil Superman?
Favorite.
Evil super what?
Favorite evil Superman type character.
Fucking union called me to try to get me to come outside on my day off.
Bruh. They're trying to jump you.
What's that one that's Superman but a zombie?
You're gonna have to give me a little more.
Is it from the comic book? Is it from a comic book storyline, or is this a different piece of media?
No, it's from a comic book. It starts like a D or something.
Deceased?
Nah, it's not actually dead. He just looks like a zombie.
Oh, you mean Bizarro?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah,
that's just the guy.
Backwards.
Yeah, no. He speaks
opposite.
He speaks opposite.
He's the world's worst superhero because worst is a good thing in his universe.
Depending on which Bizarro we're talking about.
Right. Most interpretations try to go with the whole, words are opposite meaning.
Mm-hmm. Bizarro do bad. Stands proudly.
Bizarro hurt. I do find Bizarro kind of funny. I think my favorite might be. This is not because it's Superman, but from a different universe, or Superman in a different context. General Zod has a lot of swagger over the course of the comic book history, as of course one of the only supers that pretty much is like, hey, I'm from before the planet blew up, and I kind of don't like anybody. It's like, okay, understandable. And then almost every interpretation, they kind of make them slightly cooler. That we got, in the Young Justice TV show that just recently aired a year and a half ago, a black Zod with the entire Zod family line being black, trapped in the Phantom Zone, basically prison dimension, where they're singing spirituals. And I'm just like, how am I not supposed to feel for this man?
Man, that Young Justice.
Like, I know he's a bad man. I know this. However, however, he's giving off Malcolm X right now, and I like Malcolm X.
I have my answer.
All right.
Superboy Prime. Because I find him cringe and he kills people.
I mean, that one is, particularly, touted as one of the goats.
Yeah, he put the paws on the Green Lantern Corps, and I don't know how they came back from that ass whooping. What was his name?
Because of comics, yeah. Because comics.
Because it's not like he just beat them into submission. No, he was ripping them limb for limb. There was like body parts and blood floating out in space.
Yeah, it was pretty bad
everywhere.
From what I heard. A nice secondary place goes to actually Homelander. I was thinking about it a little bit after our initial conversation the other day, and my summary is still the same. Homelander's the kind of
TV Homelander, right?
Yes. TV, The Boys Homelander, available on Amazon Prime, blah, 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 blah. That version of Homelander is a character that I desperately, almost cathartically need to see punched. But part of its constructed drama in that series is that no one realistically can punch him. And it's so like, he just keeps winning. I hate it. But I can't wait until he falls.
For me, my favorite one is King Hyperion from Marvel.
Oh.
He is from the Exile series, aka the series that I keep hyping up. And he is one of the members of the Weapon X. And let me just tell you straight up, he is not a nice person. He is literally Superman, but evil. Took over his planet, got brought into this thing. Now he's just like, all right, we're going to go around conquering more planets. He is one of the people who like, oh man, two Earths are colliding into each other. We're going to reset the universe. I'll survive.
It's not many Marvel characters that are nice unless they're like really young. Even then, they might be a dick.
But yeah, King Hyperion's a good evil Superman. It's showing you what a person would do when they get their hands on all that power. AKA just quick world domination.
That's one of the reasons where I'm like, no, we can't give like a massive amount of people superpowers, because even if they're good, or quote unquote good now, if they had the power to rob a bank right now and they were broke, they would fucking.
Oh, of course. Like if anyone got their hands on the Death Note. I mean,
no, how they would reveal they had the Death Note is exactly what that girl did to the guy who wrote Death Note. She got him to sign his name into the book. And then when he closed the book to hand it back to her, it was a fucking Death Note. he gave her the illest the fuck stare.
You've killed me.
How could you do this to me?
Luckily, it will not affect him because he was probably not thinking of himself when he wrote it.
That was when people were debating in the comments, and I'm like,
it's a rule.
I don't know.
It's literally a rule. You have to write the person's full name and be thinking of that person. That's how you don't accidentally just kill everyone with that name.
I mean, to be fair, I only feel like that the Shinigami King had to, because it's more fun that it's personalized and vendetta based, but it's also kind of charming if just every Dave in a quarter-mile radius, just
Yeah, every day on the
kind of
planet.
funny. If I was a Shinigami, if I was Ryuk specifically, because he seems to be getting the people who always try to break the rules.
Well,
That's
he
fun.
he likes chaos. He has a ladle. He just hands it to other people to stir the pot with.
It's because he's bored.
Hella.
Another thing.
Yeah.
Why are Full Metal Alchemist fans so? They're like a cult at this point.
You're gonna have to give me something to go off of other than they are cult.
They will review bomb other shows to keep them off the top list of.
And my anime.
My anime list. And
The
if you
capture.
say,
It's the defend capture point.
yeah, and if you say like something on Twitter like, I wasn't a big fan of this part of Full Metal Alchemist, there will be accounts that come out of the woodwork to mansplain every aspect of it like you didn't understand it and that's why you don't like it.
Well, it's very simple. They have nothing better to do with their lives. Like even
But-
I, a person who fully understands Full Metal Alchemist, will not just come out of nowhere and attack you.
Like,
Yeah.
I understand Full Metal Alchemist. I like Full Metal Alchemist, but it's not. It was a great anime, but it wasn't. For me, it wasn't a top tier. It wasn't one of those things where I'll be like, yeah, I want to rewatch that. Nah.
Oh.
I mean, I don't even rewatch top tier anime.
It's time for WAMM to defend against the onslaught.
Well,
Everybody, 30 seconds until wave of mobs start.
Please
like-
subscribe.
my top tier anime that I've loved, I've rewatched. Like Darker Than Black, I rewatched that with
Ew.
one of my friends. Love that anime.
Chinese
so
Olympic Batman?
sorry.
Crazy.
Yeah. Seto no Hana Yome, I've seen that anime like
I'm
6 or 7 times.
I'm assuming with Darker Than Black, you stopped at the second season, didn't you?
The first season.
Like
I don't think I finished the second season.
when he became a homeless man.
Yeah, I don't like Homeless Man.
Homeless in Black.
Like he would. I don't like the second season not because of
Homeless,
the
hey?
story, but it was the characters because the girl character didn't have a whole lot of substance, and Hay was only in the story to be a dick.
Yeah,
That was it.
that was. See, that's why I don't rewatch it. It
But
hurts.
I rewatched the first season because the first season was great. The fucking fight with Hay and Wei, that shit was great.
I think my biggest problem with it though was that sometimes they're just. I'm gonna be kind of mean to them. A lot of people, once again, don't know how to use their fucking powers.
True.
And I don't mean that on like a fundamental basis. No, it's like, hey, I've mastered this, but I'm going to use it in the most dumbest way fashion. You have a little boy, a little unassuming boy, who can touch you, and his handprint is C4.
No.
And you don't just have him walk up past the target and accidentally just touch him as
No,
a
that
small
wasn't-
child?
That wasn't a little boy. That was Havoc, and she didn't want to use her powers.
That's not Havoc. Havoc's a
Wasn't
different
she the
person.
Wasn't she the one who touched people and blew them up, and then she had to drink the blood of like kids in order to keep using her powers?
Havoc did have to drink blood, but no, it was
That's
the little
hilarious.
white hair boy who would run around and touch things, and they would turn to explosive when he flicks his nose, and he had to drink
Oh.
scalding hot milk.
That's also hilarious.
I mean, that's still a better power than the one dude who could fly, but he had to break his fingers to get it.
That was the worst.
that was
And he
the
didn't even
first- that was
fly.
the-
He like levitated. It was like away. But yeah, that little boy was like very
Oh, she could
useful, and they
make
just
that.
used him wrong. Yeah, Havoc also good power. Amber, I know why she did it, but that's a waste. You
Yeah.
wasted your freeze time many times when you literally de-age like 10 years each time you do it. Hey, let's not just use it willy-nilly, Amber. Nah. I want to go back
She
before
like
I
fucking with
even
time.
existed. Amber, you have a power that will keep you alive pretty much forever with proper use. And you done fucked. You done
Apparently, they had a contractor in the manga whose name was Top Rope.
All right.
And his power was rope manipulation.
What is a
Came up
rope?
with some of these powers.
What is a rope?
It
I
sounds
need
like
a
a
definition.
diet best genius.
No, well, it
Already
sounds
also
like.
had a
Do you guys remember the anime Kings game?
yes.
Or
We talked about it, I believe, in our
I may be thinking of the wrong
in
one.
our survival game.
Because it has this girl
episode.
who wears a red dress all the time, and she can control like rope or chain-like objects.
Yep.
He's a toned-down version of her. Because she was a fucking threat. She was Killer Spider-Man. But this dude, it just seems like, because he's carrying regular rope, it just seems like he can only manipulate like regular rope. But apparently he can block bullets with it. So
once again, what is a rope? Because that is a man-made thing that's not in nature.
well, it looks like it says he can weave. It says he can weave rope, so it may not be rope manipulation, but
okay, so he's weaving
the
things that rope is made of.
Yeah,
bob and weave.
It's also why I got mad at Best Genius because it's like, oh man, so he can control like G material and things like that. No, he controls
all fiber.
All things weave together. They have to be weaved together before he can control it. What? How would your power even reckon? So can you control my muscles?
That's right. Muscle, fiber, DNA, strands, all mine.
I would be very interested to find out if Best Genius, like, how he found out about his power. Like, did he just sneeze too hard at one point, and then all of a sudden his pants just exploded?
No, we know that's how that one guy found out he could extend his eyes.
He did exactly what happened with SpongeBob. Tried to lift a weight that was too big for him, ripped his jeans, but instead of making a joke out of it and annoying the shit out of everybody like SpongeBob did, Best Genius was like, it never happened.
You fixed.
Nope. Don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Mm-hmm.
But let me not get on to My Hero and their silly power system.
Yeah, who would ever want to talk about My Hero?
People still have two quirks. Tokiyami has two quirks. Why is he a bird?
Well, what do you mean? Todoroki has two quirks.
I know.
Kacchan has two quirks.
Yep. And I want to know
Deku has
why.
like 7.
Bakugo has 2?
Deku makes sense.
From his father?
I don't know. Probably whatever he causes the sparks with. Because his main power is that he sweats nitroglycerin.
No, his mom sweat glycerin, and his dad
sweats nitro.
Had nitro powers, and when it combined together, he started sweating explosives.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He has to have two powers. He is sweating nitroglycerin, which is an explosive. And he also then has to light it. Which also, apparently, that was the mangaka's reason for why Bakugo was so angry all the time. Because his body is sweating nitroglycerin.
Well, if he had that in his system, it would definitely agitate it and affect it in some way. Because, I mean, everybody else has powers that affects their bodies in very weird ways.
Which I still don't understand. Like, Mina, hey, my power is acid. So what's that have to do with the color pink and horns?
I got that from my dad.
So that's a second quirk.
Sue has like 8 powers.
Sue is a frog.
Yeah, Sue's just a frog. She's probably the only one that actually makes sense with the one quirk. I just have things that frogs have. Croak.
A lot of the powers, you have like different tiers of powers where the power is a concept and the power is just that thing. Like Bakugo's is just I make nitroglycerin explosions. Whereas Suyu's ability is I am a frog, and what can frogs do? So her powers are all encompassed under frog.
Then we got someone like Coda who can talk to animals. Why did he come out like this?
Yeah.
Why is he also a rock?
Well, it's possible he was the child of a, what is it?
So he has a second quirk.
Well, whenever you're born, it all combines together like a mutation. So your
Animal chatting does not make you a rock. Don't lie.
Yeah, no, I'm saying his parents were probably a rock person, and the other one had something to do with animals. So when he was born, they combined together into one quirk. That's why they kept calling it quirk singularities.
Well, they need to start naming these things with all the quirks combined. You need to call this boy Rock Animal Charmer.
But see, he may look like that, but that doesn't mean he has the properties. But he does clearly have the ability to control animals, so that's why his quirk is what it's called.
I mean, Tokoyami has the properties of a bird, because look at his damn head.
Yeah, when we go back to Todoroki, his ability is specifically listed whenever we see the fucking character description during the actual anime. It says icy hot, specifically, not ice and fire. It's just two quirks in one go. He just only chooses to use one.
Left side hot, right side cold. Or maybe backwards. I don't know. Todoroki fans are going to yell at me.
I think it's left side fire, right side ice. Every time he looks at us, the camera, he's doing this shit. So it's very confusing.
But yeah. Fuck you, my hero.
Everything makes sense until it doesn't. But then you're not allowed to question what doesn't make sense, because you're just a hater. Anyway, did you guys hear that Justin Bieber apparently challenged Tom Cruise to a fight?
No.
It's like an actual...
In the octagon.
Has Justin Bieber
challenged Tom Cruise
trained before?
Fuck if I know, man. He doesn't look it.
Why are they trying to fight Tom Cruise of all people?
I don't know. Justin Bieber has the skinny drug person body.
Oh no.
He should be fighting that guy from SNL who keeps seeming to land all these hot women.
Why don't you just fight Logan Paul so they can both make some money?
Yeah, Pete Davidson.
Jesus. Leave Pete Davidson alone. He's already getting harassed by Kanye and his assassins.
Isn't Logan Paul actually fighting someone relatively soon?
No, he just fought somebody.
No, Jake Paul just fought somebody and lost.
It's the same person.
No, they're different. Jake Paul was what everyone was talking about actually having skill, because Jake Paul was the one who fought Tyrone Woodley. Oh god, I've forgotten his name. Ben Askren. So he fought a wrestler who had retired twice already, and Tyrone Woodley, who's a wrestler who fell in love with his hands and then retired. They came back and fought. And then Jake, by decision, beat Floyd Mayweather.
Who decided this?
I don't know.
Hit him with the Escanor.
Or was that one?
How much money they
All right, I might have lied. That one may have been the one where it was an exhibition and they weren't allowed to have a judge.
The fact that these people are just making money for being shit at shit saddens me sometimes.
Well, that was the thing. People were like, oh no, Jake's good at boxing. Jake just fought an actual boxer. Not even like a professional boxer. He fought Tommy Fury, who is Tyson Fury's younger brother. And if you don't know who Tyson Fury is,
We know who Tyson Fury is.
Great.
I do.
Tyson Fury is a 6'9" boxer who is, I believe, 33 or 34 and 0, has multiple titles. His nickname is the Gypsy King. Arguably the greatest fighter of this boxer of this generation. Fighters, a different category. Never seen him do anything mixed martial arts. He's definitely the best active boxer right now. The only one who can even challenge him is possibly Usyk. Usyk. Where's it, Usyk? I don't remember. The Ukrainian boxer who just beat Anthony Joshua. There are too many names. But honestly, Anthony Joshua's lost a couple of fights to people who I could never see defeating Tyson Fury. And Tyson Fury beat Deontay Wilder, who literally has the right hand that was known as the eraser, because no matter how many mistakes he made during the fight, so long as he hit you with his right hand, you lost. Like, I believe Deontay Wilder's record was like 43-0 with 42 knockouts. Like, that's unheard. Mike Tyson did not have that proclivity of knockouts. George Foreman didn't have that proclivity for knockouts.
Sometimes they just want it more.
He had the nickname the Bronze Bomber, which is based off of another boxer's nickname that he didn't, I don't believe he chose. And it was racist initially. Hooray. Anyway. Where the fuck even... Oh, yeah. Jake Paul lost definitively. Like, he was like, I don't know. Shut the fuck up. You lost. You so clearly lost that fight. It's not even fucking close. You're slow.
So,
you have a right hand. Congratulations. You can throw with power. So can I. It's not hard. Literally the easiest thing to do when you're, moving your hands is to throw hard.
True.
Try hitting next time. Anyway, gotten entirely off topic.
Now, a good segue I'd like to introduce and bridge here. You have introduced us to a channel called Chiseled Donna, who has apparently just made his entire internet career off of what is sometimes very insightful, but most of the time very, specialized humor commentary, where it just involves seeing clips, sometimes from the UFC, sometimes from boxing, sometimes from sports, if I'm not mistaken, when he watches the NFL. And he just rambles. He just goes off. Has a bunch of reference-based humor, which is something that I particularly enjoy. And so it always makes watching those fights a lot more easy, especially for those who probably don't see much of appeal in watching organized fighting in the case of the UFC. I think Chiseled Don is like a great barrier of entry for many people.
Yeah.
That, of course, does bring us to what we're here today to talk about. So, my friends, first off, welcome. Thank you for joining me, as if we don't do this like every week. But also, thank you, audience, for joining us, as if you also don't do this every week. What we're here to talk about today is quite simple. We like laughter. And yes, I'm using the collective royal we, so don't all of you French people put down your pitchforks. It is not time for revolution yet, but it is time for us to, revel in our collective enjoyment out of things that make us laugh. And more importantly, how these things are used as a tool in more serious shows or as the entire foundation and appeal for the entire genre of shows and movies and media. So, first things first, gentlemen, tell me something that made you laugh, like something from something you recently saw that has made you laugh.
Recently.
Yeah. Of course, I will start, so I don't. I give y'all time to think. In the anime that I was that recently concluded its season called Tokyo Revengers. The plot is simple. Guy is traveling back in time to save everybody from routinely dying from gang violence. It is a very serious thing that he's very serious about. Problem: all of those people, even 12 years ago, and they're all children, are really strong, physically strong delinquents, and he is not so. He is a child, technically, in his own childish body, but he is not strong in any way, shape, or form. Sometimes it's funny seeing him get the living beat crap out of him, but at a certain point, you're supposed to empathize with his struggles. The funny joke comes from he's a part of the group known as the Tokyo Manja Gang with its leader, Mikey. He's currently fighting Big Bad of the season, and Takemichi is trying his best to resolve the situation, of course, by getting the ever-loving crap beat out of him by this Big Bad. All the while, some of the other characters who are in this church with him are like, don't worry. You know, you just got to get a few couple licks in. You got this. But of course, he's just getting wailed on and wailed on. eventually, Takemichi stops getting wailed on and turns to go, all right, how are we actually going to beat this man? Because what I'm trying is not working. And they hear one of the other characters is a upper member of this group, very close to Mikey, a personal friend of Mikey. He says to Takemichi, by the way, Mikey, the literal guy who could solve all of our problems physically right now, he's not coming. And Takemichi goes, we're doomed! He was my only plan! And that's it. Does the sheer
He was my only plan.
it's the not 0 to 100, but this time 100 to 0 of we can win, we can do this, we can stop Big Bad, who is currently physically stronger than all of us combined, to utter and sheer hopelessness. And he makes a great face that is currently what I'm using for my Discord profile.
Well, fortunately for you, I changed your thing to not show that.
That's fine. They don't need to know.
Oh yeah, that one.
They don't need this. Yeah,
I
that's an example.
I thought that was from Overlord.
Oh, there's the spares, the spare.
Tell me it doesn't make sense for Overlord.
No, it does. It makes a lot of sense for it to be an Overlord. You're absolutely correct.
As always. Anyway, please continue.
Yeah. Of course, that's just my one thing. Anybody got theirs?
Well, yesterday we rewatched Tucker and Dale versus Evil to get me in the mood for comedy, because that is by far, like, it's not even close, my favorite horror comedy.
I respect. Also, it's funny that you had to use the phrase "get in the mood." And I had to get the scented oil bath going. For your
Listen,
comedy.
I had to soak it in a bit. I had to, as the kids say, turn off my brain. I had to stop analyzing so hard. Like, why would that kid have run so fast up behind? None of that matters. What matters is that kid threw himself entirely into a wood chipper while Tucker was just bent over. And then he comes up and he's... First question to the guy is, are you okay?
No.
Grabs
no,
onto the kid's legs to try and pull him out, and his friends just see what looks like a hillbilly shoving their friend into the wood chipper.
Yep.
And so they panic and get covered in blood, and he's just sitting there like, why? Are you okay? Is 80% in a wood chipper.
Well, certainly is not.
They're out here for a suicide pact. That movie, the entirety of Tucker and Dale versus Evil is great. Not only as a social commentary of how sometimes judging people before you even say a word to them, especially between, social boundaries such as, we're a bunch of college students, and we're a bunch of people who live in the country, aka hillbillies.
Hillbilly?
Yeah.
Hillbillies?
The Billies of the Hill. It's almost as though, if you guys just talked to each other, you would have found out, oh, that guy is just awkward and kind of dumb. And that guy is his friend who's better at talking, but, just wants to have a nice little... assume that they attempted to kill your friend and was eating her face, not that she slipped off of some rocks and they rescued her. Why would you ever assume that? That sounds dumb. You're dumb for thinking that. Dummy.
Bacaro.
I do also love the fact that the one guy who was like, I don't really think that we're giving them a fair shot. This probably isn't what's actually going on. That guy immediately runs into a fucking log that skewers him just straight through the stomach. And not only that, see, I did my best to turn off my brain, but that one did kind of hurt me when rewatching it, because I had the realization he was slowing down.
Wasn't slowing down fast enough.
Like, it literally took like 3 steps of slow, and then,
Yeah, it just wasn't quick enough on the draw. This is these are all, especially almost every single death in Tucker and Dale versus Evil, an example of skill-based surviving. These city folk just weren't cut out to be touching grass like this.
Oh god, the fucking black dude too.
God damn it.
His leg gets lit on fire.
That's right.
His leg gets lit on
And
fire,
when-
and then
and
the
when
dumb
actively
blonde
told-
grabs the fucking turd.
And when actively told to stop, drop, and roll, he's too busy, freaking out over what is simply a pants fire at the time to hear that very sound advice. Yeah.
And the blonde
happens.
grabs the turpentine and throws it on him, immediately lighting him more on fire.
Actually, this is a very interesting thing to ask you. But before I get to the question, context. One of our mutual friends, Junior, I've coaxed this kind of sentence out of him when questioning what he liked and did not like out of comedy. And I found that he specifically does not like when characters are inept as the basis of the comedy. If a character slips and falls and spills their food on the floor, oopsie daisy, I did a spilly. No one actually did that. No one actually said those things. But in that kind of situation, Junior, no reaction.
Studios.
Junior gets no pleasure in seeing somebody fail at life, so to speak. For you, Kaiser, do you also have particular problems with ineptitude as a vehicle for comedy?
So here's the thing. When it comes to comedy, with that type of comedy, I feel like you have to. It takes one of two things: balance with it, or complete unbalance of it. Literally everyone in Tucker and Dale versus Evil is accident prone.
Yeah.
Fucking, I think I may have gotten their names mixed up earlier. I don't remember. The blonde one actively cuts into a log and cuts immediately into a bee's nest. There's that kid that runs into the fucking the sharp log, the one that jumps into the wood chipper, the one that charges the brown-haired one with a spear. And when the brown-haired one slips into a hole, he trips right after him and skewers himself. Not to mention that when the brown-haired one turns, he knocks out the blonde friend of his, Allison. And legitimately, we have a person getting knocked out, a person accidentally knocking someone out, all of them tripping, and one of them skewering themselves with a spear directly on top of the other. There is literally zero coordination in the entire movie.
Yeah. They are a gaggle of fools.
Up to and including the literal final death, which is the last of the evil teens, who's also half hillbilly, tripping and falling out of the second floor building that they're in. Like
the only in terms of meta narrative commentary, the only reason why he survived that long because of his hillbilly blood,
probably
insulating him from the normal accident proneness of city folk blood.
Entirely possible. But what it kind of comes down to with the clumsy, though, I feel like a good example of that done wrong is Jar Jar Binks. Because it doesn't have, if someone says clumsy, a lot of times my brain immediately goes to the scene in The Phantom Menace where he's explaining that he was banished, and so why were you banished? Long-winded sentence, it is like, basically, be clumsy. You were banished because you were clumsy. You mightn't be saying that. That he says something in his weird way of saying things that I still...
Something dark side.
No, it's like... I don't even know. Like, I've listened to that movie. I've listened to watch that movie so many times, and when he actually describes the things that got him banished, I have no idea. I don't know what he was saying. I'm gonna have to pull it up and show you guys, because like it's legitimately one of those things that you hear and you're like, what?
That makes no sense.
But to cover him for the rest of the movie, Jar Jar, like, not only does he actively survive stupidly a lot of the times because of his clumsiness, such as in the final battle, at one point there is a droid that gets blown up, a basic battle droid, gets blown up, its upper half lands on his back. He throws it off him, and then he kicks it because he doesn't like it. When he kicks it, his foot gets tangled up in the cords. And he finds out that if he swings his foot around, he can shoot the gun. And so he proceeds to do that with surprising accuracy.
Yeah.
But then a droideka rolls up to him, and as it rolls up, he panics, dives to the ground, and as he dives, he flips the droid around, and it shoots the droideka before it can activate its shield, killing it. And this isn't, like, I understand that the prequel series, not as serious as the original trilogy. It's got a lot more comedy. This comedy stands out as really just confusing to be here.
Mm.
Like, it's not like the Joss Whedon, dialogue where they try to, joke and poke at each other for comedy purposes. It legitimately is just this character that is nothing but supposed to be comedic relief, and a lot of times he's not even funny. He's just being clumsy like that.
That's
Right.
just the Jackie Chan effect.
It seems more like a nuisance, both narratively and functionally as a character.
And when it comes to Jackie Chan falls right back into the... Actually, no, he doesn't. Because Jackie
Yeah.
Chan is the
Jackie
most...
Chan makes no mistakes.
the most organized
mistakes around, though.
clumsiness you will ever see.
Flips, falls between ladder, uses ladder as defensive weapon, smack, smack, smack,
That's right.
spin, slides out ladder, backflips away.
The most dangerous thing you could fight, most dangerous place you could fight Jackie Chan in is a china shop, because the only thing that will be broken is your bones and your spirit.
I think...
He will save every dish.
Have you guys seen the Jackie Chan movie, The Tuxedo?
Yes.
Of course.
I think that's the most Jackie Chan
grew up
movie
with
there
movies.
is. Because
I can believe it.
it's so, like... So Jackie Chan's form of comedy, like that whole, the accidental, clumsy, but super skilled. It makes so much sense to the narrative of The Tuxedo. He's a completely untrained, I don't want to call him a moron, but he's just a civilian, but the suit is fucking the greatest technology for spies ever. And so it legitimately is just Joe Schmo getting
That's right.
fucking piloted around by a suit.
It's very funny. It's the same kind of comedy, or at least in terms of that premise, that I get from the Jim Carrey's The Mask. Just without, of course, the particular supernatural elements that The Mask itself provides.
No, that suit was supernatural.
But
You can't tell me that thing wasn't fucking alive. It was the greatest wingman.
I can tell you it wasn't
is
fucking.
It is a great piece of technology.
I can't trust you on that, Kaiser. It was putting the moves on that girl.
Yep.
I had
That's
one
true.
more point. That's what I was gonna make. However, this is a very big however.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan of, in a non-comedy setting, and in a lot of ways, I'm not a fan of, like, clumsiness being the crippling effect. Like, I've never been a big fan of, like, the slasher movie trope where there's just the big bad is walking behind them, and then they're running away, and they look over the shoulder and they're tripped, and all of a sudden the killer's right there.
Yeah.
So it's just
I
like,
get
okay. I don't find it compelling. I don't find the kills to be as satisfying that way. I like the kills better when they get to where they're trying to go and they fucking lock the door and they're like, alright, I'm safe. And then as they turn around, it's like, you forgot to lock the back door! I'm already in the house!
How'd you have time?
My favorite
Every
was-
time they're
Your
not
mom
looking, the killer is actually sprinting at full speed.
No. I did it when you
Nobody has
weren't
ever
looking.
seen Michael Myers sprint, but he do.
He be moving.
In the movie The Rise of Leslie Vernon, they tell you how they do it.
Yeah.
They're walking, but how they're sprinting, but it looks like they're walking. Yeah, he tells you how they do it.
Also, it for the slasher movie note, it is very impertinent for me to point out that they're all fairly tall individuals. Them leg strides be striding.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned from trying to keep
Oh,
up
that's
with
a
my
Chucky.
dad. He never ran anywhere, but he got there quickly because he did that, what we call the soldier walk.
That's right. Just extend the gate.
That shit was painful. Trying to keep up with him, nah, I hated going on walks with him. Until I got older, and then I was able to do that shit to him.
Is that just how tall people just abuse each other?
Yes.
I think that's how tall people abuse. I feel like y'all tall people know how long your fucking strides are, and you guys don't slow your gait on purpose.
It depends on who I'm walking with. If I don't like you, I'll do it on. If I like you,
Tall people don't like me.
Naturally, I will fall into walking at your pace or slightly slower.
Thanks for that, Legoshi. So I think then the ultimate Turing test for when us Whammers visit, take a walk to the store down the street and just see how fast you leave us in the dust.
I love how you
Don't
say
worry,
that,
Roz,
but
I'll
you've
keep
never
up with
been.
you.
So, you guys have never been to the Midwest. I'll go to the store by the corner. I'm like, the gas station? Unless you want to go on a 6-mile walk to the Deerbergs.
That'll be my first time.
Listen, just because you live in the countryside, country boy, doesn't mean what I said isn't true.
Guys, you forget, before I moved to the city, I used to live in the country.
I do also find it funny. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm the only one in this call with a driver's license.
Yeah.
And aren't I the baby?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, we walk and take the bus. You have to.
Yeah.
I
It's
could
mandatory.
Actually, I can't take the train.
It's mandatory.
The place where the train lets out is technically close to my work. It is
Wait.
not close enough.
Like, I was at your house. There was no train. There was no bus. There was no nothing. It was highway.
There is a bus.
Well, the highway to hell.
Also, I pulled up the lines from Jar Jar. Allow me to read them to you.
Oh, dear.
Misa caused maybe 1 2 litty bitty accidentes.
I didn't realize it, but is Jar Jar Binks?
You'd say boom de gassa. Den crash into buses high hey blibber then banished.
I'm hearing it right now, and I'm assuming you're trying to, replicate his dialogue verbatim. Is Jar Jar a French caricature?
No. All of them speaking this.
Repeat the first dialogue again, and I swear that sounds like somebody's racist interpretation of French speech.
George
I
Lucas
swear
said.
to you that is what I'm
Misa
hearing.
caused maybe 1 2 little bitty. Damn, now I'm doing it in a French accent. Fuck you. Right. Misa caused maybe 1 2 litty bitty accidentes.
Yo, dog.
You know what? It was just.
I know my American politically charged cartoon caricatures. I'm not
Misa make a messa. Misa sorry. Misa no mean to do it.
We.
Thomas, I'm gonna have to push back against the French thing because there's not enough P in that.
Get in the stream.
Oh.
Get in the stream.
Oh, it's
Not
time to
like
move
the
on to
YouTube
someone
stream.
else.
Get in the Discord stream.
Oh, my computer
Yes,
can't handle
we
it.
should move on to someone else. Maurice, do you happen to have?
No,
one
come
you'd
into
like to talk about?
the Discord stream. I'm going to show you that I'm not joking.
We know we're not joking.
I'm going to show you. Anyway. Get in here.
We know he sounds like
How many
Jar Jar.
How many years you think is gonna be before somebody comes and say you can't make fun of Jar Jar Binks because he's autistic?
Don't matter. I'm still.
People always say you can't make fun of him because he's black.
He's not black. His actor was black. There's two different things.
There were some
Oh,
people
sorry.
that said that Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be a caricature of African American. Sorry, not African Americans.
That makes
Africans.
you more racist than what you think George Lucas is.
Oh, wait, whoa.
Whoever said that.
Yeah, whoever
That's
said that.
more racist than
You're
Jar
a
Jar.
user right now. I'm tuning him into my FBI agent.
I'm doing him in my. I'm calling my FBI. I already got your number, dog. You think you're the only one that can get an IP address?
Outrageous accusation.
Listen, that
for
comes up a
me,
lot. It's just dumb.
I haven't actually looked at too many. Yeah. For me, I haven't seen too many comedies lately.
Okay.
But
watch Shotgun
I
Dale versus
was
Evil?
looking at I'm not. I've already seen it and I didn't feel like it. And I will go into a different thing. I won't even pull this from a comedy because I like when they add comedy into like other genres. So recently I was watching Boardwalk Empire, good old Atlantic City over there. And main character and his gang had two people kneeling down in front of him, and one of them was running off his mouth because hey, he's an important gangster. You can't kill him. And he kind of said something a little out of pocket. So one of the characters, Jimmy, pulls out a gun. And he's like, "Oh, tough guy, huh? What you gonna do? Shoot me from running off my mouth?" Well, I wasn't gonna, but you kind of talked me into it, and just shot him. And I'm not gonna lie, that was pretty funny.
I don't think you talked him
love
into
when
it. I
people
think
can
he
make
planned
a
to do it
little
anyways.
quick.
No. One of the things I've always noticed about your particular favorite kinds of comedy, Maurice, you like smart Alex.
I do.
You like people
Like-
being witty.
Mm-hmm.
I respect.
Like, it has to be a certain type of witty. Like, if you're just obnoxious or annoying with it, no good. But if you got like fun wordplay, you're pretty much either fighting back against someone being kind of an ass or kind of mean or someone just getting on your damn nerves. That's a great time to be witty, and I like when those punchlines land. Probably which helps a lot of the Bridge series be funny.
That's right. I'm trying to think. I'm pretty sure something witty entertainment would be a great. Because that's pretty much what he makes Kirito, the main character, all like.
See, Kirito's witty is good. I enjoy it, but then there's sometimes that it just doesn't hit and he goes overboard because he's 13 and
Also, he's Kirito. No matter how well we abridge the man, Kirito is Kirito.
Someone who does it great in that show and never overdoes it for me is Tiffany. The fucking black guy.
Yeah, no, Tiffany's great.
He hits them very quick and very consistently.
I
Not sure we
love
don't
his
follow him all the damn
introduction.
time. That was so good. I don't know how to talk to you. Good, so you can sit down and shut up.
Good, so you can shut up and listen.
Yeah.
That was
The
such a good one.
chocolate axe.
But you may call me Tiffany. Oh, Tiffany. That's a manly name. Shouldn't be. It's a woman's name. All right, I don't know how to talk to you.
It's such a good. And that just brings me into a whole genre of like that's a good way to slide comedy into your serious things as a wisecracking character who does it every so often. This is the character who does it. And they're also my favorite characters to write. I love writing smartasses.
It shows.
I
have a little bias.
When it comes to it, I feel like people have gotten a bit soured on it. But I do actually personally still relatively enjoy a lot of Whedon's dialogue for this reason. I don't particularly think that Whedon is great at entirely story plotting. But the man can write dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why I'm calling it, Whedon-like dialogue. Because he did the Avengers. He did actually, who's it? Why am I forgetting the name?
Buffy.
He did Buffy.
And Angel.
I was more so
Firefly.
thinking of the Justice League.
Yes.
He added some of the most, outside of the shit that Snyder wrote, Whedon added a bunch of, some of the best of the character dialogue, and, the only parts of it that were even slightly, had any levity. Fucking the whole, scene between Diane and, Bruce when he took off the bat suit and he was bruised to all fucking hell.
As he should be.
as he should be. And she's like, wow, that looks like it hurts. And they
Bruce
have that whole
Wayne.
conversation where he's like, whatever, I'm gonna fucking do this shit. That was all Whedon. That wasn't even in the Snyder cut. He removed it
Yeah.
because it wasn't his.
That's a fun scene, though. I get what you mean. It's a fun scene.
Then so much of the Avengers one, and the Avengers in general does have a lot of really good just snapback lines that they use. Fucking the whole Steve Rogers kicks an Ultron bot off of the fucking city. I don't even know what the fuck to call it, the Rock. And he's like, what were you saying? You didn't finish! He's falling to his death. Or the Hawkeye, fucking, I have a bow and arrow.
It's true. He has a bow and arrow.
But yeah, that's where I like to get something funny. It's also why Konosuba, even though the visual gags are funny, it's mostly a dialogue from these characters that's hilarious. Most of the time. Well,
that was the reason why I initially fell in love with Bakemonogatari. In the first season, the dialogue was great, and then the later seasons started to feed heavily more into the fan service.
They got that budget.
True. So Roz, is Bakemonogatari the one that you want to tell us about?
No.
I wanted to mention.
Because the jokes, it's been a minute since I've seen it, but I have a very complicated sense of humor because I laugh at everything. I laugh when I'm uncomfortable.
Sure.
So, like, somebody
I can't wait for you to unpack that with your therapist.
So,
he won't.
It's very hard for me to talk about, but some stuff I laugh at is generally funny, but it is fucked up. Like, one of my favorite jokes ever, which cycles around on the social media sphere through reels and whatnot, that comes through, is one where the guy goes, if I was going through something, would you guys be there for me? And all of his friends.
Definitely not.
No,
I hope it sucks.
Absolutely not.
I hope whatever you're going through is terrible. I hope you reach out to me so I can ignore you.
Yeah, I
can't wait to go to your funeral so I can just think I could have changed something.
It's very good. Very good.
That's one of those things that's absurdly hilarious because you could not mentally believe somebody would say or think or do that.
Right.
And that they're doing it on purpose to subvert.
The sheer absurdity of it, absurdist humor, as it's more colloquially called, is really appealing in its own way. I think this is kind of like where a little bit of why everybody likes many adult comedies, but the one that notably comes to mind for me is South Park and Crayon Shin-chan over in Japan. Like, they base their entire thing off of what are normally just slice of life characters doing some absolutely wild and absurd shit that no human should ever actually think about saying or doing. But they do it, and they say it, and it's funny sometimes.
But there is this one comedy that I watched recently that had me like scrolling for the videos in Facebook because I initially seen the video through Facebook and did not know the name of it, and I kept checking the comments thinking maybe it's in there. And the premise of this show, and I'm pretty sure it's like one of those short animes where it's this guy and a girl and they're sitting in the back of class, and the girl is always worried that the guy is not paying attention in class. So she would always look over at him, and he would always have some absurd scenario going on. Like, he would just break out his erasers and build stuff. And she end up so invested in it that she's not paying attention in class either, that she gets in trouble.
Yep, I remember that clip.
Yeah.
Wait, did you say the guy that's always doing things in his class? And they're married.
Of course they are.
Yeah, the second season they're married. I love that.
I would have married him. I'm not gay, but I would have married him.
Why would you not marry that man?
Love that
Marry that girl, marry her anyway. Marry this man. Marry him anyway. No matter what you say.
My
I
favorite
can't
one
remember
is,
what the name is right now, but I love that one.
I think he built. I forgot what it was. He built something, and then they went to war and they ended up fighting each other.
Oh, when they were playing. Oh, when he was playing the little game, and he kept switching the rules on himself.
The whole thing was just crazy absurd. I should have picked one that I remember better, like the soccer scene from Serokai Yukumidon or whatever.
I know
The
what you're
second
talking
part.
about,
Yeah, they've been making short jokes about her. My favorite short joke though was when he called her short. She got angry. She tried to kick him, but she barely got like a foot off the ground. But her shoe came off of her foot and flew up and smacked him in the face. That was great. But this one, she's complaining. He hasn't said anything to make her angry or anything, and she's just relenting the fact that she's short. Then out of nowhere, the soccer ball comes and it stops just above her head to point. The reason you survived this and you're not dead right now is because you're short, and it immediately annihilates the guy walking next to her. He's like, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Wait, was this the one with the? It's the one where they constantly make dirty jokes in the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up tapping out during season 2 of that show because it was too much. It's too much horny. It's enough slices. I couldn't do it.
Look, when the opening to the second season literally said, "All right, everyone, smile for the camera and say the words. All right, baby better.
No, I couldn't do it.
All right, I know what I'm in for."
Yeah, that is a show.
A show I
That
do want to
is
bring
a
up
show.
that has a lot of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Baka and Tess, funny as hell.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite comedy animes. It's up there with Seto no Hana for me.
So Kaiser, have you heard of, at the very least, Baka and Test?
I've watched episodes of it.
Cool.
Can
One
I
of my
talk
favorite gags, I believe, comes from its second season. So, our three goons, our lovely three idiots, they had to look for something, and I can't remember for the life of me what it is. But because it's our three goons, obviously, our tall redhead one runs across. They decide to split up gang, look for clues. Tallest redheaded one runs across one level of the school building. He ends up inadvertently running into the girls' shower. They all eek in surprise and or disgust. I'm not exactly sure what that reaction is other than just general surprise. Obviously, our constant mistaken for a girl character runs through a particular level below that, ends up running into the boys' shower, and they all eek in surprise and or disgust, or whatever guys do in showers when they get surprised by people. And then there's, I believe his name is Hideki. Then there's Hideki, who runs through the lowest rung of the building, and he ends up finding his teacher in the bathroom stall.
No, not Iron Man.
And bare ass mooning him, and he goes, "Ah!" and he dies. I watched that. I watched Baka Test back in college, the same college that our mutual friend Dan and I was with, but this was a completely different person, in our dorm floor. And shit you not, it made us ugly cry. The tear thing that to bring up this conversation with you guys that was one of the few times of my life where I ugly cried on a floor for at least 10 solid minutes, and we paused the show. The show wasn't just going on and we weren't missing anything. We had to process what just transpired.
It takes time to watch that show.
Yes, it does. One of my favorite things, it was a reoccurring joke in that show between tall red hair and the main character. And my brother, older brother, who does not like anime, loves Baka the Test because of this. And we call this joke the manly man speech.
Yes. Talk when they're doing something dumb.
Yes.
Put a hand on the shoulder. Yoshi, listen to me. You're the only one who can do this. Only me, only you, Yoshi. You have to do this for the boys. I will do this for the boys. Good. Now go over there and tell the class. He comes back beaten. You lied to me.
That speech, that speech would always come right before tall redhead guy fucked him over.
Yup.
Or my second favorite gag involves the main female love interest for the main character.
Mhm.
The big
Which one?
boob
There's
one.
two of them.
The big
yes.
boob one. She
Emoji.
can't cook.
She cannot cook.
She can't cook to the point where they actively use her cooking as a weapon. And my favorite thing is the guy with the camera when he goes into ninja mode and they have like the big class battle, and he takes like a yogurt thing container of her food, and he goes up to the other class president, sneaks behind him, shoves it in her mouth, and assassinates him with it.
That's right.
It broke their morale and destroyed their class.
It was a biohazard. It was a chemical weapon.
It was whenever she cooked, the Grim Reaper was floating above the food in the
That's
form
right.
of smoke. It was great.
Ready to kill.
I have two jokes from that show that just kill me.
Yeah.
My favorite one is when they were at the beach. And it was at the very end when they were done doing their stupid shenanigans and they got caught. And they ordered Yoshi to come back. And he just ran deeper into the ocean while the redhead and his not girlfriend was just standing in front of him. And she told him to sit, but we're standing in the ocean. Sit. And he just went under the water. And I just died.
She was a very hard person not to listen to, because if you didn't listen to her, it got worse. Your suffering was just immense. Like every time he looked at a girl wrong, she would stab him in the eyes with 2 fingers.
Yep. My second favorite joke is anytime Minami just beats up Yoshi, whether it's a suplex, a Boston, it's just many wrestling moves. And he's just in mid conversation while it's happening. That show has a lot of visual gags that just work.
Yeah. So now that we're talking about suplexing and wrestling, how about that clip that was going around? I didn't watch the anime personally. I think it's like a slice of life anime.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's Nisekoi.
The guy.
The president is
wrestling a deer.
Yep. Principal versus the deer.
Yeah.
Nisekoi, like everyone keeps bringing up that joke. Nisekoi is filled with so many jokes that it's ridiculous. And my two personal favorite ones is when the blue hair girl had her yaoi manga almost taken by the cops. So she just lifted up his leg and hit him. No, she lifted up her friend's leg and hit her with a fucking spin move.
Oh, I remember
fucking that. She chest checked the fucking cop, killing him. Back spun kicked a random guy in the top head, and did the spin move on a goat.
That's right.
It was like
Triple
this
kill.
so stupid. The second one is when the robot chick that's in the show. Yes, this show is really random. Just ran into someone and self-destructed. It just fucking blew up.
Yeah.
It just came out of nowhere to me.
Outrageous.
It's great.
So one thing I would like to mention, both about Nisekoi and about Bucket's Test, and a little bit about comedy in general, is one of the narrative techniques, so to speak, or one of the comedy techniques is the element of surprise, or the more specific thing of always, just like magic tricks in the sense, you try to lead the audience into having some sort of expectation for an outcome when you present them with something. In this case, this is why going to a very archaic example, why did the chicken cross the road is a great example of that, because sometimes people play it for the mind game that it is. A very obvious answer is just to get to the other side, which in itself is a punchline and could work. But sometimes the more absurd answers, whether it be hinted to its prompt or with other context that surrounds the joke, helps make it a little more surprising and a little more funny. And so we go, ha, oh my God, that actually just happened. And that's what makes a lot of these shows really, really cool. since they throw out a lot of reasonable expectation, but that still doesn't limit them in their options because the possibilities of unreasonable outcomes are endless.
Can I emphasize this point for you,
Yes.
Kaiser?
Mm-hmm.
I need you to play something for me on the stream. It will not get us like DMCA'd or anything like that, so you don't
Excellent.
have to worry about that.
He
But
lies.
I want you guys to live react to this.
The invader Zim.
If we got like demonetized because of what Ross is about to
It's
have guys
over
do,
it's 50 seconds long.
I would be actually I would actually laugh because that was not. I trusted his words wholeheartedly. We won't get demonetized. Okay.
We
And
won't
got
get demonetized. I've streamed it. It's not been a problem. People have
This
clips
is
of it
YouTube.
up
You
on
stream it
YouTube.
on
And it's
Twitch?
fine.
Okay.
It's people streamed it on YouTube as well. It's fine.
Okay. All right.
I posted it in the
That's-
WAMM chat.
I
It's the
know
very
you
last
did.
video.
I'm pulling it up. I have to
I'm
adjust
gonna hit
my
you with the
screen.
invader Zim. You
I
lied.
love. Or the Darth Vader. I lied.
I
I
lied,
lied.
as I have all along.
See,
Ooh,
good
the
old hidden
monster.
comedy that they didn't mean to have. I love when something's not supposed to be funny, but god damn it.
So in that case, and
Why
it
does
was
he have eye
also-
dots like Krillin? Sorry, forehead dots.
Maybe he's a Buddhist monk.
Also,
on
I
the
do
side,
have
you
it
know?
on stream.
Something's
I
happening
need to
to my
stream it
internet,
again?
so good luck
Why not?
everybody. He disappears, so
Alright,
Good luck, everybody is.
Thomas, get in here so we could tactically watch it together without you having
I
to.
mean, I was,
get in
yeah.
there.
Okay.
So I'm not gonna give context until after the video is over.
Okay,
Yeah, something's happening to me.
I'm here.
Fun fact: you sound fine.
Yeah, it's crazy,
You-
but like everything else is just not working. Like your stream won't load, Zud's stream won't load.
Yo, I'm gonna be honest. This
Let's
I don't
pause
like the
face.
feeling of watching all of this again. Like, just wait. I'm probably gonna keep pausing it.
Just start it over and play it. It's only 50 seconds.
Roz, you realize it takes 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
5 seconds of content, you can literally get a strike.
There we go.
Yeah, but this is not from a movie or anything. This is from a game. It's fine.
This is someone's created content.
Yeah, but it's from a game. It's fine.
I actually didn't expect that. Oh my god. Oh wait, hold
Yo,
on.
you ain't running fast enough.
Wait, we got that running form.
What is this?
Hmm.
Well, he's dead. Yeah, this is probably
Good
fine.
form. Good form.
Yeah, this is an in-game cutscene.
Man, Monster Hunter's
Tight, tight.
weird.
So the context for this, that was his dad, the guy in white who was naked. That's the dad. The guy who
He
got
is my
suplexed
dad.
was Hildebrand. He's a detective who's been missing for 5 years, and that was
Damn.
the first time his dad has seen him.
Damn.
And so he chose to suplex him?
I've seen worse.
Why do
I've
you
seen
say
worse-
yeah as though that should be the most
I've-
obvious thing ever to me?
Yeah. You're gonna find
You say
out
yeah as though
eventually.
you're actually
That's
going, yeah, duh.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna
That
find
is-
out eventually.
That's
Rob,
right.
I'm gonna be honest, your scene reminded me of King and Ashura.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The
Yeah.
fight on the moon.
No.
No, not Azura. Azura's Wrath. King of
That's what-
Nazra, the fighting.
Oh,
Netflix
okay.
show.
Yeah, the other Baki. But in King and Ashura, there's a moment where there's this chick who's just in love with our homeboy Oma, and she attacks him suddenly in front of everyone, and he defends himself, and then when he catches her slipping, and then like gets the cloak off her, reveals, oh, it's a girl, which is not a problem. He'll beat up anyone.
Yeah,
But then her first words to him is, "Let's have a baby," and everyone just freezes up, and Kangen just pulls her off of him, sets her down, and just sprints. He is gone. It's like it's a full sprint.
I don't blame him.
And that was funny.
There is one show that I try not to talk about too much because while it is hilarious, it is
Problematic.
very problematic.
You could just say the Boondocks, he'll understand.
I'm gonna let Thomas talk about the Boondocks. The show is I think the American name for it is Heaven's Lost Property.
Oh.
See,
Yep.
you knew immediately.
Yeah, makes sense.
My favorite gag from that is from the cage fight, the wrestling match, where the guy is fighting. I think the girls are fighting to get him to do something or get him to stop doing something, and he's winning the fights in a row by being a pervert and touching them inappropriately. And he's used to being abused because he's been a pervert and has been getting his ass with the entire series. So their tactics of just beating him is not working.
Mm.
And then you get to the final girl who's his best friend who was supposed to be in the fight. She comes in as a masked character and beats him so bad. He beats him so bad he can't get a hit in or anything. And he's still standing with his arm raised like one of those old school, the All Might pose. He's got the All Might pose, but he's completely unconscious. And now whenever we see a character go out, like they fought valiantly, but they're fucking dead, we do that pose. That's just become like an inside joke for me and my brother and a couple of other friends who all watch that scene.
I respect. You do bring up a particular archetype that not many people are actually very comfortable with, let alone find a lot of enjoyment. I at least want to explore it for WAMM, even though we've discussed this at length before. Pervert characters.
Yeah.
Japanese pervert characters is the most prolific version, but obviously they
Not
exist in most
funny.
media.
Didn't
laugh, according to Kaiser.
There's nothing funny about being a pervert. Literally nothing funny. Not the process of them doing it, the lengths they will go through, or even the punishment of it. If someone gets thrown in jail for murder, that's not funny. It's like, haha, prison for you. It's like, yeah, they deserve to go to prison. Fucking Mineta getting stabbed in the eye by Jiro when he was staring through the fucking locker room hole and screaming about the parts of their bodies he wanted to stare at. That didn't make me go, ah ha ha, you have been stabbed in the eye. It's like, good. Fucking, I wish she had stabbed deeper and killed you.
I know you're on a tirade of justice, but I'm gonna be real with you, that's a very based suggestion for our American Crime and Punishment. We should actually just say, aha, you're going to jail as they get carted off to prison. That sounds kind of dehumanizing.
Haha, prison for you.
It might go. They might go. I don't want to be laughed at again. This is like middle school all over again. No, let's reform. Potentially.
I'm sorry, but as you were going on your speech, Kaiser, the only thing I was thinking of was the scene of Mineta when he was asking everybody in that very weird way if they wanted to go into his room.
No, thank you.
Hey, y'all want to check out my room now?
Yeah, that wasn't funny either. That sounded like it was a trap.
There was nothing perverted about that scene, though. It was just
yes, there was. What do you stop, Roz? That is a statement from someone who has, like, you have no sister siblings.
And your mother knows.
He has a sister.
I know that statement sounds like you don't have a sister.
No,
as though there's no threat to going into a stranger's room.
No. Even more than that.
Stranger,
you know. I know, and your mother knows that Mineta has a coon cave, and that's what he wanted to show off.
No, see, when he was doing that gag joke, I thought he was saying it in that super duper creepy way, and they would all go in and it would just be a normal room. Because if he was a pervert,
they entertain his words. They know better. At that point, they have been a classmate of that man for like 3 months at that point. They know what type of shit he's on.
I'm just saying, if he was a
my
pervert worth his salt, you wouldn't be able to see his porn.
Oh,
Worth his
God.
salt. Boy is like
What
14.
is happening here?
Boy is 14. He doesn't know
No,
how to
it's
do
not.
anything. Let
They're all
alone have proper, healthy relationships with other human beings.
Oh,
Not gonna
no,
lie,
he
that's
doesn't-
another one of my major issues with the pervert character in anime. Is a lot of
Alright.
times they're also being perverts towards like 14, 15-year-olds.
Yeah, Master Roshi was trash for that.
That's
Minetta's doing that!
it's a particularly.
I didn't
child.
laugh
Yes,
at
he's a
Mineta.
child, but we're watching him as adults.
I didn't laugh at Mineta fucking touching people. I laughed at Mineta going, "Do you want to go in my room?"
Nah,
I didn't laugh at the other parts. Just that part.
no, thank you. You can throw the whole character away, honestly.
Yes,
I
you
did.
can throw the whole character away. Like when he did his Great Rush thing, I thought maybe he would not be as perverted because the Great Rush thing was great, but he kept doing the perverted thing. And like I said, the only two scenes I liked from Mineta was the Great Rush because he was saving his friend, and it was just pretty gas, and the joke about going in his room because it's one of those things. You know what this character's about. They even made the scene creepy. That's why it's funny.
The only scene from Mineta that I have ever found even slightly amusing was the end of him and whoever the fuck he was partnered with, their challenge against Midnight.
Yeah, that's a great brush scene.
Yeah.
Oh.
Great Rush.
I don't fucking know. I don't remember it. I just remember that was the only time he ever said anything that I went like, alright, I will allow you that one.
There is a reason.
Because like, it should have been me.
There's a recent gag that he does that isn't perverted at all, but rather from the other part of his personality where he is too hyper-conscious, very incel-like about his social standing. So, in the most recent season, spoiler for all of those who care about this one gag, Midoriya has been, recouped, has been recovered, has been reclaimed by all of the homies. They decided to go out and make this motherfucker take a bath. Because he was out there being dusty. He was, saving lives and stuff, but looking absolutely dusty in the process. At the end of it all, this is now one of the sit-down scenes where they're all sitting in, I believe, like their communal dorm common space, and they're just talking about the next steps, about the future conflict ahead with All For One and the villains. Eventually, of course, Todoroki is the last one to enter this room because he's just taken a shower. And you see, and it's only commented on by Sero, Mineta starts copying anything that Todoroki does, like in terms of his body language. And then at the end of the scene, at the very final episode of the season finale, if I'm not mistaken, all the characters are doing their one line, we're all in this together, a nice camaraderie, group speech type thing. And when Todoroki turns his head to look and I'll say brood in the distance wistfully, Mineta is right next to him doing the exact same motion, and Sero just smacks one of the grapes on his head. It's like, stop that. I know what you're doing. Stop trying to look cool by copying the cool guy. It's very good.
Wait, we consider Todoroki to be the cool character?
Yes.
The class do, at least.
He is clearly the Zuko of that show.
Now, sure, Zuko's not popular with the ladies because,
all right,
Todoroki has
let's be frank here.
Has Midoriya's ring finger already nice and tight on that left hand of his.
I feel like I need to point something out.
Yo.
Zuko was never, like, cool. Zuko was the edgy bad boy.
Yeah,
That doesn't make you cool. That makes you edgy and bad boy.
He's cool to us.
How? He literally just spent his entire existence being embarrassed by an 11-year-old who wouldn't even fucking actually hurt him.
So did
You fucking tripped him.
That's Bakugo.
So did Kaiba.
That's true. Now, and it's
Do we consider Kaiba cool?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's a cool
God, I'm
character
weird.
on that show.
Kaiser. Now, understand, I am not a man of simple rules. Sometimes I have my breaking points, and Mullet Man is one of those breaking points. I don't like that guy.
But he's so American.
No, that's Bandit Keith.
Bandit Keith? Fuck that guy. Yes.
Mullet Man and his blue eyes white jet can go right to the rocks. Right to the rocks he threatened to jump himself off to. But yeah,
I
Todoroki is,
would have ended him.
Todoroki is kind of cool.
That's why
Yeah,
you're not the protagonist, Kaiser.
Also, why you're not the protagonist. Also, you weren't possessed by a 14-year-old Japanese boy to stop you from killing him.
Yes,
So,
you were not possessed by the 14-year-old Japanese boy, not the body.
I
That's
could definitely
me.
be the pharaoh.
It was the Pharaoh's body at that point. He had
Me-
been
me and-
piloted longer than Yugi had.
Me and the pharaoh probably would have gotten along swimmingly.
The
Yeah.
Pharaoh was in more episodes than he was.
That's right. That's just how it be.
There were episodes that had the pharaoh, but not Yugi.
Listen, this is the
What
only
kind of
side note-
fucking Naruto non-remembrance is this?
This is the only time I'll say this about Yu-Gi-Oh! Hero and This is a show where one of their actual friends is routinely being haunted, possessed, and harassed by an evil spirit, and exactly one of the four of them has decided to help him once. No matter how many times he comes back to be an active and deadly threat to their lives.
Nah, he
These
cool.
kids do not know how to deal with the supernatural.
Nah, he cool.
He's not trying to kill us today.
Listen,
He's not trying to kill us today.
rather
He's
the
hosting
devil
big
you know, am I
parties.
right? Listen, if you have to do a Seto Kaiba, you're gonna tell me you wouldn't want an immortal king of games, Pharaoh?
He's talking about Bakura, not
Yeah.
Yugi.
Oh.
The white-haired one,
Listen,
because he's the overarching villain of the series, and I'm like, you've knew about his presence since he first turned you all into toys. You gotta do something about
you
him.
can't tell me I'm wrong, though, that the Pharaoh is also definitely evil and a harm to them.
Oh yeah, he was, most certainly.
I mean, he never hit it.
He was a 5,000-year-old monarch.
If you saw Season Zero,
we were just supposed to trust him. I think.
if you saw Season Zero, we knew what we were getting into. That motherfucker was a menace.
What do you
Well,
mean he
somehow-
never hit it?
Oh yeah, the Pharaoh was never a particularly
No,
individual in the earth.
no. Like the only thing that was keeping him in line and doing good was Yugi. Like he was straight up. That was one of his things, his pride.
He used
Like
to send people to the Shadow Realm because he was the
Yeah.
Pharaoh, and that he officiated the system.
He
Well,
killed a
I
lot of
see,
people.
These are his games.
yeah, in the Japanese version, they were dying. The people were dead. There was no shadow round. He was killing people.
Send him straight to hell.
That's right. He was a dictator. It was a dictatorship, a monarchy, and we expect less from him now that he's back in the form of a twink's body.
Of course
I
not.
think-
The Twink's body.
I think not.
You call
Like,
out
Season
Yavi like
Zero,
that.
Season Zero, he was like he was the fucking Joker. He was out of line most of the time.
Nah,
would do
you
some
just
petty
don't
shit,
have the
and he
will
just
to get
killing them.
things done.
He was just Jigsaw. Honest, he was Jigsaw with spiky hair.
Jigsaw with magic, yeah.
So going back to the pervert character archetype real quick.
Do we have to?
Only a bit. I've talked about this a
They
little bit
would want
before.
us to come back.
I talked about this a little bit before, but often the flaw that I see with a lot of interpretations of them is yes, it's the Japanese media in particular. There's almost always coupled with the aesthetical factors of it being an older man character, sometimes an older woman character, but mostly an older character preying upon younger characters in a very twisted and even pedophilic light, and it's never really great. But in the case of like Johnny Bravo,
Jesus Christ.
I find the guy funny.
No,
Upon,
Tavis.
Because he was
Oh.
a bumbling idiot.
Tavis, no.
upon reflection of it, it's part of it is part of the thing that you said that you don't like. The fact that that there is a recompense or some
Yeah,
sort of
he usually gets into.
non-enabling of the behavior as soon as it happens. Johnny Bravo's
Yeah.
whole thing is that he literally just gets karate chopped and judo flipped every time he hits on the woman wrong. And not all of the episodes hit. Of course, that is not particularly what I'm saying here, but the general aesthetic of like, hey there, mama, you want to go get some smoothies, and he just gets fucking karate chopped into the street. Yeah, that's a nice ha. It's a nice from
Like,
me.
there's what I know Kaiser used to laugh at.
What was that? What would that be?
The Kanker sisters. They were raping the boys. That full of perverts. They were terrible.
Yeah, the Kanker sisters.
Jeez.
The Kanker sisters are the opposite of what I'm talking about. Where there's no recompense.
They reach around the
Because nobody could beat
pool and
that
in.
ass.
Oh
They-
no!
Nobody could
Looks
beat
like
that
you
ass.
failed
to win.
me.
They did nothing but win, and it's kind of unsettling, honestly.
Actually, that seems to be until like fairly recently. Well, not fairly recently, but in more modern times, whenever there was a female perverted character, they just got away with it most of the time. There was very rarely come up until like recently where they focused on like the various animes where the guy's like super duper serious and he ends up friends with a perverted girl and she keeps throwing herself at him and then he's like equal rights, equal fights and uppercuts her or like locks her in a closet and walks away or something like that. Like for instance, the girl from Baka the Test, the dark haired girl who would always chase around redhead guy. She was the female pervert character of that show.
That's true. That is true.
Well, the female pervert character was the blonde haired girl who liked Minami. She was
Also
a
true.
pervert.
There's a lot of them.
But she never got to come up in.
Or the girls in various animes where they are super into the boy love thing and they keep trying to put the guys in what is it? Homosexual situations.
Oh.
And then they're like breathing heavy.
If I'm not mistaken, that's literally the premise of a slice of life comedy
not
series.
me.
Right. Kiss him, not me. That's it's weird. We're not gonna pretend like it's not. But there are some aspects of it.
I mean, some of it's funny, I'm not gonna lie, but it is very weird.
Yeah, particularly with the Johnny Bravo one, and a little bit of Brock from Pokemon, which is another popular one to talk about in this context, because that's pretty much been like exactly half of his entire.
But he never touched anybody. He would just act super duper in love with them.
It's a lot, and it's still harassment.
Who was it, Moroku?
Right? Most of them are
just walk up to random women. Would you have my baby?
See, Moroku gets away with it with a lot of the Inuyasha fan base because he's hot.
Oh, he gets away from them. I'm about to say Sango doesn't.
Sango does not let him get away with it. The fans let him get away with it.
But it's
the
also
fans let Shishomaru get away with it.
Right. So the whole thing with Brock is that like it's still harassment because many of them are like actively looking like the Officer Jenny and Nurse Joy's. But also sometimes it's like the first thing he says to a person, and I'm like, first off, get up out my face. Even I, who enjoy closeness and physical contact, knows that you have entered a personal space way too fast, way too strong. And there's some legitimate friends that I have within my own Pokemon communities that are just like, nah, I've never really cared for Brock as a character because of that. And it's very understandable.
I didn't really like him either.
And what's very important for like us talking about this particular character archetype is that most of the time we are not the women in this situation. We are, of course, a lot of this stuff, especially a lot of the shows that we talked about, sometimes have the target audience for young men. And that's a whole different conversation in terms of like what kind of media we think are appropriate for specific audiences and all that. But it's more so to specifically highlight that like there's a disparity here between our general opinions of this kind of thing and the kind of opinions that one would have if they actually receive harassment in real life and then come to turn on their favorite TV show just to watch it happen again.
I have stories. Unfortunately, I have various stories.
Right.
I understand it. I understand where it comes from because even recently when I was working at Walmart, I had a manager who would sexually harass me. It was terrible.
I'm sorry that happened to you, and I'm glad you got out of it. Now, there is one other.
It's only because I'm tall, though.
That's his own can of worms. The hyper fetishization. I'm sorry you're so sexy, Rod. I kid.
By the way, on a point about that, I do make fun of you a lot for the whole tall thing. Please do let me know if I ever get too far with it.
That's fine. Like
I'm about to say,
I got.
you're not saying you want to have his babies.
I think I may have actively said that once.
JK, unless.
No. See, Kaiser, these are the scenarios I would be in. As long as you're talking about it, I generally don't care. As long as there's no overt stuff like some of the stuff I've heard from some of the women I've dealt with. But a lot of the issues with the people who've done it has not been that they were just saying things. It's because they also like to touch you when they say things. Like, for instance,
I don't touch
one of the things that would happen with when I was working a lot, because I would do a lot of the heavy lifting or a lot of the heavy pulling shit because, size and strength and all of that other good stuff. And when even men would sometimes be quote unquote impressed by my strength, and while they're complimenting me, they're grabbing my arms, squeezing my arms, or like touching my back and shit like that. And I don't like being touched, so it was very uncomfortable for me. But my first instinct is always to keep myself from lashing out, because I can seriously hurt people, and that would have got me fired. Because if you touch my back, my first instinct is always to swing elbow. And so whenever people would touch me, I would have to freeze to keep myself from like doing things. So I very much understand women when they don't like that shit.
I am so glad you do not work in the kitchen, because sometimes it requires like a hand touch to the back to get past someone in small cramped spaces, especially with hot food.
Yeah. But I couldn't work in a kitchen with a bunch of people anyway, because like I said, I'm way too big for that.
Yeah.
Like the kitchen we have now, if I were to just step back 2 steps from the stove, I would be against the wall.
Yep, I would die if you was in the kitchen with me.
I much prefer big open kitchens.
Yes. Oh, also, Russ, I see like the rest of our friends are being supportive to you, and I will also be supportive, but I will also victim blame you real quick. I'm joking. Victim blame you. I just knew it was gonna make you laugh. It's like everyone else is being supportive, giving you apologies. Now I'm a victim blame nigga.
I don't. I generally don't need any like crazy support for that.
Well, too bad you get it.
Because like I said, I've dealt with that since I was a kid, so I know what to do, what not to do. Yeah, like I had an issue when I was like 10 or 11, wherever I would go to a grocery store, like older ladies. You know the stereotype of them like pinching people's cheeks. No, they would like do this thing where they would lean down from they would be behind you, lean down, like put their head on your shoulder and whisper in your ear.
What the fuck?
And sometimes while they're doing that, they pinch your ass.
What the fuck?
Old women are weird.
I think
it wasn't old women. It was sometimes they'd be like in their 20s or something.
What the
Dude,
fuck?
you're 10. They're old. Call them old.
It was weird, but I just made the conversation completely.
No, you did.
But yeah, perfect characters. I find some of their comeuppance funny, probably because of that.
You wanted to see the comeuppance to these old ass 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
Just a random bystander just come out of nowhere. Uppercut. Don't touch children.
That's why I end up liking characters like Minetta more than characters like.
Sorry that we like hearing people get punished. Suffer comeuppance.
That's why I end up liking characters like Minetta more than Meliodas, because Minetta, he'll do something creepy, something weird, and he'll get his comeuppance for it. So he's there to basically be the punching bag for doing dumb shit. But I've seen a scene of Meliodas where he's like holding the girl's boob while having a casual conversation with somebody, and that was just weird to me.
Or when he literally just had his head up her skirt, just still hold a casual conversation.
And as a kid, I didn't like Moroku until he started doing his more heroic shit, and he started to change his character. He's still a pervert. Didn't like that aspect, but I started to understand him better. Like then that was one of those things where I had to realize there are some people who are good people, but they do really bad, dumb shit.
A more modern example of this phenomenon is actually Zenitsu from Demon.
Yeah.
Pretty
I didn't
much.
like him at first, but he's like my favorite Demon Slayer.
I still don't like that guy.
Even
I just like his power set.
even the actual kind-hearted and hyper understanding person of Tanjiro looked at Zenitsu for the first time and went, "Ugh."
With the pure disgust. I love using that name. That's just how I feel about people sometimes.
Why are you looking at me? Why are you judging me like that? Cause use you. Zenitsu harassing a woman in the middle of the street. This is not okay behavior. But of course, when it comes to the overall fandom, many of us who, especially when we talk about Zenitsu, or more specifically like admire some other aspects of him, is usually because of the cool thunder sword techniques that he uses. And a lot of
that ain't even him. That's a sleeping nigga. That's a whole different person.
It's the alter ego, right? It's not lost on me that it's the rest of him, the loudmouth, cowardly, and hyper aggressive sexual assaulter, is just pushed under the water, and we glorify the cool stuff that he does. It always makes him kind of whack.
Yeah.
The phrase "it gets better" in the manga technically applies in the sense of like the severity of his crimes, but it doesn't change the fact that he never really unlearns the behavior wholeheartedly.
The severity of his crime is that he gets the girl. Fuck that guy.
Right.
I still don't know how he got the girl.
So yeah, it stops being funny in a sense when it's not particularly transformative. That's the part that I'm picking up here. Some like the subject matter itself can also just not be funny, which is always a facet of conversation. But even when it comes to the application of a concept, it does boil down to how it's executed.
Can I be honest about something?
Yes.
I can tell that none of us actually like pervert characters because none of us has actually written a pervert character.
No.
We don't want to write that, so we can all kind of just agree to a point that we can find them funny, but we don't like them to make them.
I will raise my hand here, and I will admit, put this on True Off My Chest subreddit, that I, in my teenage years, did make a entire story about what is nothing more than a self-insert of mine who got his wish from a genie to be a BMX superstar, and in exchange for the wish already being granted, the condition in order to maintain the wish was that he had to sleep with 1,000 women.
Wait a minute.
Jesus Christ.
Shy, what are you doing in the chat and not just in this? Get in here. We're talking about things.
I don't know if Shy wants to actually be here.
Sometimes people just want to listen. They don't.
Not allowed.
She might be playing Smite or something. Okay, no, nobody's playing Smite right now.
Yep, nobody's playing Smite.
So Shy, if you can hear us as you make your way over, hopefully, maybe, please, thank you.
If you want.
Is that what's something funny that you've seen recently? In fact, I think something.
I love how the title of this is "What's Funny," and we've immediately gotten to the things of this is not funny.
Because it's an exploration of the concept of comedy, of course.
Like, we defended what makes it funny to to some of us, and what makes us not funny.
This does bring me. This still all is in the same ballpark to get to, which is charged subject matter. This is, of course, the area of conversation where we get a lot of our stand-up comedy, stand-up comedian controversies. But I really just want to start off by just talking about the Boondocks, and
Random
more
stone
specifically,
to
because
build
I'm not sure if Kaiser, if you've seen or remember this movie, Friday.
I know Freaky Friday.
Friday.
Okay,
Of course
so
you do.
Freaky Friday, as you already remember, is about two white women. Friday's not about white women at all.
Damn.
Friday is an Ice Cube movie with Chris Tucker. They play as the titular characters Craig and Smokey, who live in just and I'm gonna be real with you, this part of the world building detail I actively forget. Randomhood.exe. Cul-de-sac hood.exe. And the plot is, I would almost even say, bare bones.
It's pretty big.
Craig is a member of this community, just living his life, doing his thing, trying to get girls, sip some, just hang around on the porch. And unfortunately, he comes into hot water because of the neighborhood bully of the and villain of the story, Debo, who runs around on his bicycle that's a little too small for such a big, stout figure that he has, and he basically walks up to people and takes their jewelry, their chains, as is referred
Thomas,
to.
can I add something real quick?
Yes.
Just so to have a little context, the reason why he's sitting at home on the porch, homie got fired on his day off.
How the fuck do you get fired on your day off?
That's
That's the
exactly what it's.
That's an exact quote from,
That's the joke.
from his father, John Witherspoon, rest his soul. Also, Tiny, who plays Debo, has also passed his soul.
R.I.P.
Also, Bernie Mac, rest his souls. And
Yep.
there's
God, they're
R.I.P.
all dead.
Look, we lost a lot
Tell
of
me
black
one that's
all
alive.
stars.
Any of
Quick
them.
run. And Chris Tucker, Ice Cube.
Chris Tucker,
Is Ice Cube still alive?
Yes.
Yes, he's doing well for right now. Not going, since you want to frame it that way.
What, Jinx or homie?
Right. Interesting. Things are left to your imagination, and like in horror. Could you elaborate on that? I imagine you're talking about like slasher flicks that don't show how the person died, but rather just the killer approaches them and the woman just and then it cuts to black. Now, the other side of conflict with this whole Debo thing, notwithstanding, is that Smokey owes a man money. Now, under normal circumstances, I'm sure in your life, that's not a bad thing, like per se. No one's going to be in danger. But this is the hood, cul-de-sac.exe. So the person he owes money to is a ice cream truck driver named Big Worm. And Big Worm will kill Smokey if he doesn't give him his money by the end of the day.
Big Worm wants Big Worm's money.
Big Worm, but this Worm's money. The entirety of this movie is a more like slice of life comedy of just the Black Hood experience. And honestly, outside of more in-depth critique of its filmmaking process, I can only tell you, with the most unsponsored and unbiased opinion I can do, it is just funny sometimes with a lot of subtle visual gags on top of the dialogue itself also being very memeable. You may have already seen the damn as one of his most prominent memes.
People continue to quote it, especially if you see a video of somebody being punched and getting knocked out. You will guarantee you will see in the top comment somebody saying you got knocked the fuck out.
That's true.
Oh, that one.
That's right. See, you knew of it, cultural osmosis and all of it.
Cultural osmosis and all that.
And like any tall, big guy who looks scary is usually called the Big Debo motherfucker.
That is the exact quote. Now there is one gag that I'd like to say, probably my favorite gag in the whole movie. It involves Bernie Mac's character. Bernie Mac is the local reverend of the area because this is, again, black cul-de-sac.exe. There is always a pastor or reverend. There is a married couple that is in the cul-de-sac known as the Parkers. The Mr. Parker of the two frequently, commutes to work, leaves the cul-de-sac, drives off in his car, and does this thing. And Miss Parker, she waters some flowers very well and captures everyone's attention, especially the attention of our Bernie Mac character, whose name I literally can't remember. Because I just look at him.
Pastor.
I just look at him
Cleaver?
and he's just Bernie Mac. Like Bernie Mac, I love the man, but he never. A lot of comedians do this, with the exception of Chris Tucker and Smokey in this very movie. Sometimes comedians are just themselves when they play other characters, and this is literally just Bernie Mac.
It's just
Yeah.
Bernie Mac playing Bernie Mac.
So of course Bernie Mac invites himself over to the Parker home with Miss Parker leading him in tow, and of course Craig and Smokey are watching this from Craig's porch, because this is what you do when you're in the hood. You just watch this kind of stuff happen. But it gets more entertaining when Mr. Parker actually returns home early with his car. Drives into the lot. Craig and Smokey, they get their blunts. They start rolling it up, watching all of this transfold. And of course, Bernie Mac comes out, Gene dangling off of his legs, trying to get him on. And I didn't mention this up until now because it didn't matter. Mr. Parker is a midget. Mr. Parker is very small, but has gun.
But has gun?
Has gun and is chasing Bernie Mac off of the premises.
Doesn't matter, had gun.
Doesn't matter. Had gun.
All right, I see that Shy has finally gotten back to us. So she says, "Yeah, kind of. It's something that happened when it's when you know something happened to someone, but you don't know what. So the fear and the shock is appealing to her. For instance, a character with a face full of fear responding to someone with, you don't want to know what happened to Jimmy. So a lot of early setup with long-term payoff. I respect. A nice little suspense to hang with it.
Like in the red versus blue joke, do you remember what happened in Georgia? No, I don't remember what happened to Georgia. What happened to Georgia?
You don't want to know.
You don't want to know. And then they leave.
They never found his body. Takes off. They learn what happened to Georgia.
Yeah. No, I get it. I can see that. That's pretty good. That one kind of lives or dies by the eventual punchline then.
The spoon.
And I do find some value in that. Although I don't know many examples of that myself. The first one that came to mind when I'm thinking about this is what happened to Brock in Pokemon. He falls in love, as usual, with a woman named Professor Ivy. She has this sort of
Ivy.
Yeah, she has this sort of laboratory outside of the Kanto region, and he, becomes enamored with her and by extension her work. So he decides to stay with her at the research facility while Ash and Misty go off and do new adventures with a new third companion. And we get like a season later, Brock comes back and he's just sad, dispirited. And we're like, what happened to you, dog? What happened with? And anytime they say Professor Ivy, he goes into like traumatic shock. And I'm like, oh my God. What on earth happened to you? It's still, I'm pretty sure now that the anime and more specifically Ash's journey is concluded, I'm not sure if there was actually a resolution to what happened.
I still don't know what happened.
So again, my examples of these techniques are few in between. Let's see. Kaiser
Uh-huh.
and Shy, because you are the two non-blacks of this situation. Have you seen the movie or heard of the movie White Chicks?
Duh.
Jesus Christ.
Wonders. That's one of my favorite movies. And of course, I wouldn't bring this up if I couldn't intimately tell you why.
Fucking Wayne's Brothers.
Thank you, Wayne brothers. Thank you, entire Wayne family, because they are also directly responsible for Jim Carrey existing. They birthed that man. They raised that boy. So I appreciate them quite well.
And Living Color was great.
That's true.
Living color.
Now,
Wait, Thomas.
yes.
Before you get on to this one, I do have a funny thing that I seen from the
Wonders.
Waynes, which is probably my favorite joke of all time
Let's-
from them.
Yeah, let's go.
So you know how they made Scary Movie, all these other things, all the whatnots. But you also remember they had a TV show, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
They had a Halloween special where apparently some white woman fell down an elevator shaft and died, and now she haunts it. And it's woo. And as a kid, I loved watching like sitcom Halloween specials. They were the funniest things.
Yeah.
This one, they was like, oh, there's no ghosts, all yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then suddenly you just hear a female voice, oh, a crimpet. And then the elevator opens and a sheet just flies past and they scream. And to me as a kid, it was the funniest thing I've seen. And I was a dumb kid, but that it just just happened at the end.
Yeah, they got scared. That's also very classic of like a lot of shows where they're like, aha, the supernatural at all. And then the one little bit of evidence that the supernatural is real happens at the very end, and one character at the very least bears witness, and they're like,
Mhm.
I have existential dread now.
That's how we get the Hey Arnold Ghost Train. And that's it. Woo woo. That song was fire.
So, White Chicks, I find, and this is a very dated movie. I'm not going to pretend that this is a product of modern comedy sensibilities, because this was, what, 2003? 4-ish? It's fairly old. B was nothing more than an outside twinkle in her outside dad's eye. And boy, I never thought I'd be so enamored with Whiteface.
But
I did indeed pause to make sure that was the specific sentence I wanted to say.
Good punchline.
The idea, of course, of Whiteface almost feels itself like a funny concept from what is honestly very dark and traumatic history of not so long America's past. But even in just the use of it for the mechanism of the plot, it's funny because it's not good. They just look one step below clown makeup with missing the red nose and red lipstick. And everybody's like, yes, these burlesque black men look exactly like these two Valley girls that went missing. And we haven't seen them in a while. And of course, we're going to do Making Our Way Downtown. And of course, make that a cultural staple for pretty much every millennial around the age of 30.
Thomas, this is the exact reason I fucking hate this movie. Because ever since it came out, the people have not stopped quoting
here
it.
we
I
go.
can't stand it, man. It's driving me fucking crazy. I
You're on
can't do it.
tirade. You started them.
you started them.
How am I supposed to know 1,000 miles
I
with a
don't
trigger?
know. I just love it that this is a gag that we have that
Make our way.
somehow just a random subject triggers a tirade from Roz.
I feel like the next conversation we'll have, I'll mention Tiger Shark, and he's like, you know what I don't like about? I was like,
Oh,
wait,
there he goes again.
No, Thomas, I've walked in on this literal situation. Out of nowhere, in the grocery store, walk past a situation that's going on. The white lady goes, I love black people. What a beautiful chocolate man. And all this other white chicks quotes. And I'm like,
Okay.
get the fuck out of here.
What is
all right.
happening in your
Now-
life that this is happening to you?
Like, first off, again, I'd like to offer my condolences that you experienced what was probably the strangest thing they could have ever said to you. In honesty.
It was not said to me. I want to put it in context.
Okay.
This was a situation I walked into. I was not a part of it. I was an observer, and it was just fucking weird.
Was this woman talking to an actual black man?
She was talking to a black person. He accused her of not listening to what he had to say about whatever was going on because she was racist, and she said she loved white chicks, and she started quoting the movie.
Okay, that's based. That's pretty funny. Now,
Okay.
on that note of actually Beautiful Chocolate Man, that's actually one of my favorite quotes of the movie.
I know. And lots of people love that fucking quote.
There was a time, of course, that I used to do the aha, aha, aha part, but no, you guys know me. I'm very affirmative. I just like calling you beautiful chocolate men, very unironically.
Even you, Kaiser.
That's right. Congratulations, Kaiser.
White
After
chocolate
all-
exists.
It does indeed. We cannot give you a black card, but this is the next best thing.
You can give me a white chocolate card.
We
Yeah.
can give you.
Don't eat it.
This is gonna be a deep cut for Maurice and I. You're the white chocolate option out of those poisonous chocolates Billy had to eat.
Fucking Billy and Mandy is comedy gold.
So, yes, white chicks preys upon a lot of the racial-based humor that I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like almost every black person has either one of two feelings about racially charged content, the comedy or no. It's, oh no, here we go again. I'm tired of hearing about it, or hey, let's see what we get this time. And
I'm a let's see what we get this time. I love humor.
I never actually get tired of race-based humor.
Shit's funny as hell.
As it is, this is an important tangent for me here. I find it to be an important, particular kind of exploration of the concepts in a generally non-harmful setting. Because having to actually read a drama about race-based stuff can get a little exhausting when you live the race-based stuff in real life as well. Just the same situation with people getting catcalled in anime and TV shows versus people who get catcalled in real life. And white chicks here, because of the level of absurdity of the initial disguise as the entire premise of the plot, the disbelief is through the roof. I'm willing to accept anything that happens in this movie, including but not limited to the. I'm gonna be real with you. The most endearing and crusty dance battle, which was I rewatched it very recently.
shit.
That dance battle that the girls have against the preppy valley girls that are mean to them is the crustiest dance battle I have ever seen.
It was absolutely trash. They needed the help.
But I love that for them. They were doing their thing. Right? That was their emotional crescendo for the movie, and I had to support them through it because I'm like, yeah, y'all can't dance, but you sure got
trying.
enthusiasm.
Can't
Right?
believe you got served had that much of a stranglehold over pop culture for that fucking long.
You got served.
Listen,
Step up.
Yep.
Oh my god.
It's a stranglehold on the early 2000s culture. We love dance battle.
Well, which one was it? The one that really killed me was
probably the one with Chris Brown.
Drumline when they had
Stomp the Yard.
Yep.
when they had some very popular
Stomp
person
the
in
Yard
it
was great.
and died immediately.
That's right. Oh yeah, I mean, that's also Stomp the Yard because Chris Brown was used.
Yeah, it was Stomp the Yard. It was Stomp.
Chris Brown was used for the advertisement, and we thought, oh, the king of pop and lock is going to, be in this pop and lock.
Died
plot.
immediately.
And he dies. I guess they just couldn't afford him for anything longer. Here in White Chicks, of course, we got Terry Crews, which honestly, one of his greatest performances of all time.
I didn't like him for a long time because of this movie.
Nah, he was great. What do you mean?
He was one of his greatest performances of all time. I ain't gonna- There's something about his enthusiastic and straightforward delivery of things. He takes himself very seriously. The character takes himself very seriously, and every bit of it just made it funnier. And he goes da 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 da, and I need you da 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 da, and I miss you. Of course, I will not necessarily glorify the fact that he was clearly, at least, what is the word I'm looking for, or words I'm looking for? I'll call it racially coddled, cucked, some manner of like Uncle Ruckus syndrome.
Oh yeah, racially cucked. That's a thing I have heard of.
He's basically Uncle Tom.
Right,
He only like white people.
That's right. It's not a great he's not a great person, but he is funny for the purposes of this movie. And I think that's part of where a lot of my sensibilities come from when it comes to comedy. And I've only mentioned this a little bit before in a previous conversation outside of the WAMM. I like affirmative humor. It's a definition that I came up with to basically describe I like I like comedy that points out that hey, this exists, so I can laugh at it. A particular case example is the the kind of comedy that I do not like, and sometimes was very prevalent around this time period of the early 2000s and even before. I don't like homophobic jokes. The idea of being disgusted or adverse to a person because they're gay, and sometimes even actively threatening violence in the context of the joke. None of that is really funny to me because it's absolutely fucking hilarious to be gay. If you're
Gay
gay,
means
I think
happy.
if you're gay, I think you're one of the funniest people. Only because there's some weird shit that goes on with just being and then embracing that weirdness, embracing that uniqueness, and sometimes how that transforms into really hilarious scenarios. Like, how the fuck do you commandeer the entire rainbow? How did we let that happen?
How did you take that from the leprechauns?
Right? How did
They'll
we
never 1,000 years.
How did we collectively as a society just go, oh, we don't like these people because, they're loving each other, and then they go, okay, we'll take this little piece of everything, all of the visible spectrum of light. We'll just take this little symbol to help us, be together, and we're like, damn, the rainbow looks cool as fuck. Yeah, because it's the rainbow, and you just let them have it, and now they're better off for it. Honestly, dumbasses. But that's generally it here with white chicks. A lot of it is affirmative humor towards the common racial topics that many of us explore when it comes to at least Caucasian and African American relations, and a lot of the silliness that comes from this also abstractly stupid concept. Racism itself is funny because it's stupid.
Upset is human.
I look at a guy and he apparently looks like a piece of paper, and I'm supposed to feel bad about that? Nah. Also, the fact that one of the common things, even in the context of white chicks, beautiful chocolate man, we almost never are able to describe people of color without comparing them to food, and I also just find that stupid, aka
Yeah.
hilarious. It's like, come on, y'all gotta get more creative with.
Y'all gotta get a second
We-
piece of material.
We have literally thousands of different names to refer to the white man that are not just all food. But every time you have to talk about a black person, it's like, that chocolate person over the skin the color of cocoa, that fudge, or I think the strangest one I heard was coconut skin, and not like
What?
the coconut inside.
Coconut skinned?
Because it's the outside of the coconut.
Well, we know they like to like the lighter shades of brown. They get the mochas, the caramels, and all of that other stuff.
Every day. But that's pretty much it. Without
And
getting
I
too
think
much
they
further
also
into
do it with like the Asian community because I think the joke with them is calling them rice or banana.
sometimes. Definitely sometimes. Of course, like the association of the color yellow in of itself, a stupid concept, but also exists. Now, was there any other movies and or TV shows and or even gags that would like to talk about?
Actually, I
Yes.
think we should move on to mine because it's a good transition into what you were just talking about. Because my movie is Undercover Brother.
Yes.
And that is a movie based
Wonderful.
entirely on it's a satire of 80s action movies based around the relationship between black and white people in the media.
This was great.
And I like it less for the racial humor, but more for the satire of the 80s action. Well, it was more like a satire of the black exploitation movies because it had a lot more of a like Black Dynamite or a Shaft feel
That's
than
right.
it did like what is his name? Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. But the essential message of the movie is regardless of your color, be true to yourself, and that'll get you through the dark times. And we'll only be able to do that by being diverse together. But the satire is fucking great. Like even the final battle, it's set to Michael Jackson music, and they are fighting each other with like cool action stuff. But then in the middle, somebody will do something stupid. Somebody will get hit in the nuts. Somebody will. They cut off his fro, and that was his enrage timer. That was when the battle was over. Because the one of the gags throughout the movie was he has this big 80s afro, and whenever somebody goes to touch it or compliment it, he goes, "Don't touch the fro." And then at the very end of the movie, the main villain is disrespectful and cuts his afro, and he goes, "Oh, you messed with the fro? You got to go," and just beats his ass.
That's right.
Like it wasn't even close. He dog walked that boy. And one of the crazy parts about the character was he's very much based in like 80s black stereotypes. So even his like weapons of choice are like that. His throwing weapon, like Batman has the batarangs and stuff like that. His throwing weapons were Afro picks. This shit is great.
It's absolutely amazing.
The way he beats the main villain is the main villain tries to grab onto a helicopter to try to escape. And he's hanging off the bottom legs of the helicopter, and he throws the Afro picks, and it stabs him in the ass, and that's what makes him fall into shark-infested water and kills him.
Yeah.
The movie is a fever dream. And actually, one of my favorite jokes of the movie would definitely get me in trouble. It has got me in trouble with my older brother, who's like very pro-black, support the black community, and type of stuff. I forget what happens, but Dave Chappelle in the movie gets angry and goes, "You know what? I'm tired of you black people. Somebody hand me a pillowcase. I'm joining the Klan."
Yeah. No, that's exactly.
So I just had some real life comedy happen to me.
Let's go. No. Let's hear it.
So I ordered some food on DoorDash, as I do.
That's right.
My food gets here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is not the correct order.
As usual.
It's actually a better order.
This happens quite often. Well, that part does happen. That's fun.
Instead of the roast pork noodle soup I got, they gave me roast duck, which costs more, and I didn't want to spend more for it. So I'm sitting here trying to figure out the problem because I'm like, I swore I ordered roast pork. So I did. Then I checked the receipt, and then I looked close. Apparently, we both ordered soup at the same time, and both names for the order is Michael K.
Are you trying to say I have a basic ass name? You're right.
Apparently.
You have a basic first name, yeah. Your last name, not so much.
But the odds that we both ordered from a noodle shop downtown at the exact same time for the order to be picked up by the exact same person.
Yeah.
He just had a guess.
Yeah. He's multi-shadow clone Jutsu. Working 2 different area codes at once. So, you said your order is better than the one that you
fucking love duck.
What's duck taste like?
Duck.
It's gamey. But if I'm not mistaken, it's a little bit chewier than, but not as dry. Especially depending on how you prepare.
Yeah. Like duck is
I'm pretty sure it's because of the muscle fibers that duck has compared to like turkey. So that's like some of the parts that they're actually chewing.
The way I've seen it prepared on various videos is it's more like steak because you could have it like
No.
medium rare.
What the fuck are you on about?
I mean, that's just TikTok.
These are high class cooks. This is how like Gordon Ramsay and them cook it.
You
Thanks,
don't duck. You know you
I'm
don't
gonna be real with
cook
you. I love Gordon
any
Ramsay.
foul medium
I
rare.
love Gordon Ramsay, and this is only a little bit of shade. His daughters prefer their mother's cooking.
His mother is also a better baker than him.
This
Chef's
reality
not a
alone.
baker.
Just this reality alone. Gordon Ramsay could like try to talk his shit to me right now, and I go like, "All right, but what's your wife's tasting? What's your wife's cooking taste like?"
Ooh.
And of course, he immediately shoots me.
Your mom's at?
He calls me an idiot sandwich while attending my open casket funeral.
So I did have a question.
Yes.
I thought of it while I was preparing my food.
Yeah. Let's go.
What is your favorite comedy gag to use for your own creation and writings?
I already have my answer.
Right.
I'd like to go first.
Excellent.
So, I love visual gags that are immediately paired with dramatic verbal scenes. One of the stories that I'm writing is called Open Source Academy. The basic plot, for those who are unaware, if you may remember the 2000s anime Hetalia, which were all of the world countries personified as a bunch of twinks, and they just had it was just a gag comedy involving world politics through all of these twinks embodying sometimes the best and often the worst of their countries. My idea for this series is very much the same, but with school subjects. And the gag here was that one of my characters, Science, loves science. She explores almost every facet of science, and for the purposes of this gag, is doing a little bit of chemistry. Has a little beaker with an unnamed, unmarked solution to it. And the two other main characters are English and math. And the context of the scene, English is trying, albeit not that great with her words, ironically, to try to confess her feelings to Math, who is kind of, I'll call it dense. He doesn't actually understand what she's trying to say at this moment because he's not expecting to hear those kinds of words.
Well,
and
that's just speaking algebra to me.
That's right. Well, acting irrational, as he would think. And so as English slowly frustrates herself by trying to get the words out, and Math being remarkably patient with her, Science is literally in the background running with the solution in her hands because it's slowly starting to boil over. It is turning various radioactive looking colors and is making a loud hissing noise as she runs back and forth across this proverbial like screen of yours if you were watching this on TV. And as English finally says the words "I like you," and Math registers what the hell he just heard and finally understood in a very aha moment. That is the last time that Science, with the beaker almost ready to explode, runs from stage left to stage right, out of screen, and you just hear, ah! That's it. Gag plus dialogue. And the synopsis and such.
Does anyone want to go next, or should I fill in the time with mine?
I love comedy within combat.
Oh.
Like, obviously, it very easily can get too much. But, for the most part, just having scenes wherein it's just, you know, I enjoy the very basic idea of, you know, everything starts to go wrong. Somebody says something very on the nose, like, this isn't looking good. And someone around says, Duh! Like the I'm tired of your shit kind of.
You think?
Wow, these guys don't seem to like us very much. You don't say!
Sir, they're shooting at us. Oh, the bullets wasn't enough for you, was it?
Wait. What was that one joke? It was like, I need you to pull the fuck up. No, I'm good back here. If you sat any far back, you'd have to mail them.
Well, that comment specifically, Kaiser, I remember you enjoying the meme of send dudes. Don't you mean send nudes? No, send men.
Send dudes. I'm in a fight.
I'm in a fight. Send dudes. I need them. Multiple of them.
Rob.
You're probably gonna have to go because my brain is not braining today.
All right. For me, mine is less impressive, but more for just my taste in stupid shit.
Mm-hmm.
I love dialogue that leads into more dialogue, where it's like, but it's like unrelated, so they can pretty much go, man, this is gonna be a great idea. Scene switch. This was a terrible idea, and I don't know how you came up with it.
I have a plan. The plan has failed.
This is a bad plan.
I have a plan. Then you do string switch. Why is everything on fire?
Don't worry, I got it, as Kaiser would say. And then he proceeds not to have it.
Basically,
Actually-
anytime I get overconfident in Overwatch.
I think I know mine, and I think I'm along the line shy because mine can be summed up with that Rick and Morty joke. Come on, let's go do this one thing. In out 20 minutes, it'll be great. And then it cuts to the next scene. They're just disheveled, just like losing their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Because that's every plan I've ever made. Come on, we just do this real quick, and we can get this done, and we can get back to getting our work done. And then,
Okay.
like 3 hours later, my eyes are dry because I haven't closed them. I haven't eaten, so I'm feeling like shit. And I'm like, why did I fucking do this? Why did I fucking do this? And then I get the thing done. It's like, oh, that's fine. And then I laugh at myself.
Happens
But
every
yeah,
now and then, to the best of us.
These are great gags, and I'm glad we all
Also, Angry
use
Rant.
them.
Great.
There's another one that I'd like to talk about. So
Mhm.
it involves a little bit more into exploration. Two things. My English character loves muscles. She is an avid fan of romance and has picked up the worst of those tropes for her personal pleasure. Enjoys the idea of a strong man to sweep her all apart. Math, he prides himself, self-admittedly, on being a very logical person. Is that he could always explain himself and can follow a nice, reasonable, and rational solution to things. But sometimes he has irrational behavior and irrational thoughts, such as he has no idea why he likes thighs so much. Enter one other character, Dance. She is a tall, about 6.5-foot woman that is a part of, obviously, the school's dancing and theater team, and she is strong, very strong. Picture the scene that they're watching her, and both of them, for their own reasons, are in their la la lands. In this case, Math is imagining that they're in a chicken fight where English is on the shoulders of the crush that she has currently, Jim, the big strong man of the school, and he is on Dance. Math believes he's on Dance's shoulders, and of course, the only reason why this is funny is because pardon me, I lost myself. Part of the reason why this is only funny is because at this time, Math didn't know that English has a crush on him yet. So it's just very sweet that he still only thinks of this behavior very one-dimensionally. Yeah, I know my friend. That's English. I know what she likes. Nothing could ever change that, even when I'm daydreaming. This just makes sense.
Yeah, this is right.
Ooh, I got another one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
give it
also
to
do
One
me.
have
of
another
my
one, but I will let
favorite
Roz go
ones, but
first.
I will not write into a story because I don't think I personally could do it without it being mean spirited.
Okay.
What's wrong with that?
Is the shock humor. In particular, my best way to describe it is the scene where I think it's Wreck-It Ralph, where Ralph keeps feeding the bunny food, and the girl is watching it happen, and then you just hear him pop down.
Bunny?
She screams.
This bunny
Yes.
gets the pancake.
The son just jumps here, scream, just
Yes.
those are good. Those are good.
I love it when she does that. Because honestly, that's horrifying. I get it. I do understand.
Kevin, what's your other one?
My other one that I love to do in comedy, with my own personal writing, is to essentially not. Sometimes it is someone asks for a plan and someone does something that is quite honestly a horrible plan. But then the character that's like, not like that. Well, what do you want from me? I did my best.
Don't worry, I have a plan. This is a terrible plan. Well, why didn't you stop me before we finished?
I thought you had it. When did I ever have anything?
Look, you're the smart one. You shouldn't have trusted me.
Why did you trust me with a plan? I thought we agreed that I wasn't the smart one.
I think Kaiser would have liked this one scene that came up in the TikTok sphere where it's the guy going, "Oh, no, the enemy's going. You made a mistake by trapping yourself in here with me." And he goes, "No, I trapped you in here with me and all of these magical items, and I have no idea what they do." And he just starts tipping them over.
That was really good.
Another form of humor I love to just shove into my story writing is even if I don't have a pair of siblings, I will make someone act like siblings. And I love sibling rivalries.
That's pretty common in friend groups where certain people end up acting more like siblings than friends.
Yeah, but I don't even mean like nice siblings. I want them to be like going toe to toe half the time, just insulting each other.
Oh my.
But at the end of the day, it's like it's that sibling situation where it's like, oh, they're bullying each other. Someone else joins in the bullying. Hey, cut that out.
You can't do that.
Oh.
Only I can do that.
Yeah, only she could do that. Shut up. No. That's always that's just fun to me.
I think that's really
I do have like one final question as we are getting late in the stream.
yes.
What is your favorite thing of comedy? Like, was it a certain movie that you saw? Was it like a very funny game that you played? What was the funniest thing that you
Like,
know?
do we count lasting or in the moment?
Just I'll say lasting.
Robin Hood
Because
Men in
I-
Tights.
Ooh, that's good. That's
That's
good.
good. That's very good. Ooh. So I've already talked about White Chicks. After all, I legitimately, quite honestly, it is. I'm fairly certain number 5 of my ordered top 10 movies.
Number 5.
Number 5, White Chicks.
I have
'cause the
also
other-
thought
the
of
other
a one
Hmm.
shot. This is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. 2 of them now. But please continue.
in the realm of anime, we've already Kono.
I think you said Konosuba.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
him say Konosuba.
Konosuba. Never mind. I found it.
Oh,
So it's a small internet clip. And again, I've already given you all the breadcrumbs you need to understand why this is my favorite. It is why niggas can't be in space. Almost correct one.
I do, in fact, remember you showing us this one.
That's right. That is absolutely correct. But for the
Who
audience,
said?
who say it for the audience? The context is that this is a small internet clip that is taken from a podcast that I don't think they've ever released a full version of, and someone did a I can't remember like the game sprite style, but it's very
Roblox?
It's not Roblox because they're not big giant rectangle motherfuckers. It's more like one of the indie games that you could find on the Newgrounds of all places. But it's basically someone did an animated, pixelated version of their conversation and depiction of what these two members of the podcast are talking about. And one of them is like, I couldn't be the first black man in space. Of course, the other one naturally has to ask, what do you mean by that? And so imagine it was him. 3 white dudes, some Asian cat, and this British bitch, and you're all in a shuttle going to Mars. As soon as you leave Earth, anything you say on the shuttle just goes. So they can get to the surface of Mars and they can just say, nigger, hard R. And of course, just as I did and Maurice did, they laugh about it. They elaborate further, of course, with the rest of the skit. And nothing, I distinctly never forget this. I distinctly never forget the entire bit that this small internet video is. I shared it to all of my friends. Immediately, as soon as I saw it, a very particular habit I have with a lot of my meme content nowadays. But the most important part, and how I know it's my favorite, at a certain point during the hypothetical skit, of course, the black man in the situation, like, you can't say that in space. And of course, one of the ne'er-do-wells says, who said? Who said we couldn't say it? What are you going to do about it?
You call the cops?
There's no constitution in space. You know, I was like, damn, you're right. There is no constitution out in space. They can say whatever they want. Go terraform, bitch.
That's good. That's funny.
I have two. One of them is like one of my favorite things ever. Whenever you like stumble into an argument out of context and all you get is the absurdity of the anger and the conflict without any of the context. And my favorite one everybody's seen is the video going around of the guy and they're arguing about the Wicked Witch of the East.
Mm-hmm.
The Wicked Witch of the East, bro. Every time that one
That's
comes
right.
up, I'm gonna share it.
The Wicked Witch of the East, bro. That was her sister. The Wicked Witch of the East, and that way his hair flops and bobbing his head in aggression. Yeah.
It's the passion in the argument. Like,
Are you gonna tell me I'm wrong?
the fucking passion. Like, still nobody knows exactly what the argument was about. We just know the conclusion.
That's right.
And that's just hilarious to me. And then the other one is another great one that pops up often. The one of the clown smacking the kid.
Oh, give it the clown. I love that.
Yeah,
I love that
yeah.
creator.
The one of the clown smacking the kid and then being choked out to keep him from beating the shit out of the kid.
Oh, okay. No, give me the clown. Pardon me. That's a different clown.
I think it's the fucking, what are they called? Oh, I can't remember their crew's name, but it's just a bunch of stupid ass white guys.
I think Kaiser could just pull it up.
And they
or-
do a Ronald McDonald clown.
Yeah. He just looks at the kid and goes, what are you fucking looking at? And smacks him.
Yeah, I think it's like Waka or something. I can't remember.
Yeah, everybody knows to be. Everybody has seen it at some point or the other.
Kaiser, you said you had some
But
extra ones to start
I
with?
tend to like more short form meme content.
What's your extra one?
There were 2 of them, and for some reason I'm having trouble remembering the first one. But the second one that I remembered is very much sticking inside of my head. It's just soup.
Yep, I was waiting for someone to say it's just soup.
That group of
I'm in the
jokes is
soup
so
aisle.
funny that I accidentally, like, made myself look like a fucking moron in front of my entire family.
We are talking about the soup aisle joke.
Yep.
Yeah, that's become a meme in my friend group, other friend group.
It
It's
can
so
be a
good.
joke in this friend group too. What do you mean?
Because one of us will randomly just break out I'm in the soup aisle. What are you doing in the soup aisle? I'm buying clothes.
Why
Why are you buying
clothes?
clothes at the soup store?
Fuck you.
This is great.
Internet culture generally is great.
So because I didn't know what we were doing, I do have slightly a list of my favorite things from comedy.
Absolutely. Let's hear it.
So I have my 2 favorite comedy movies. Number 1, A, is Kung Fu Hustle.
Absolutely.
Great movie.
Wondrous.
And number one is The Other Guys.
Also a great movie. My favorite scene from that movie is the montage of them at the bar. And it ends with one of the guys peeing in the pool table and the other guy holding up his badge saying, "Don't worry, I'm an officer."
Yes. That I've
Just
seen
that
The Other
whole
Guys
montage is great.
all of one time, and I still remember that movie.
I've only seen it once as well, and I still remember
Stupidly
that.
funny. My favorite thing from just the internet by itself, Purple Eyes. Anything that Purple Eyes does is hilarious. I love Purple Eyes. He's the funniest voice actor I've ever seen, and I hope he starts doing more stuff again.
You are correct. You are factually correct. The best kind of.
His Black Knight is fucking fantastic.
Yes, him playing as Lancelot can kill me, especially the bloopers.
Oh man, you're gonna believe that, right?
Come on, you gotta. For let's see, that was the internet one. For anime, it is still in fact a tie between Baka and Tessan Konosuba.
Yeah.
Those 2
Understandable.
shows just do comedy so well. Even the ones that don't hit for everyone, it's still pretty funny.
Yeah, for me, for anime, it's Seto no Hana and Baka the Test. I haven't seen Konosuba yet.
I believe you would like it.
Honestly, when it comes to anime comedy, I think the funniest one, it's a battle between 2 that haven't been mentioned yet, and they're more so things that I find funny. And it's Shimonetta
Also good.
and that one that I have forced you guys to watch the first episode of.
Capline and Kitties.
Yeah.
I respect. It's also really
It's
good.
funny as shit to me.
But yes, that is a slight taste into my humor. Those things,
I do respect
especially Purple Eyes. Purple Eyes is killer.
One I only loosely touched on when I said adult cartoon comedies. I love Futurama.
Futurama's good.
I've had the pleasure, sometimes displeasure, but relative pleasure of watching The Simpsons, American Dad, Family Guy, Brickleberry for all like 2 episodes of that of what that was, and even South Park. And Futurama has consistently been the funniest one. Also, a couple of other like production credits that I could talk about to elevate it, but it's just simply Futurama's good.
My favorite cartoon that's a comedy is Gravity Falls.
Also good. There's a lot of. I'm not sure if it's specifically a comedy mystery or if it's element, but I do see what you mean. I would posit that the Amazing World of Gumball is my actual
Balls.
that is actual absurdist humor that I can get behind.
I love when he became an SJW and it lasted for all of one fight.
Destroyed her. Maybe you should check your privilege. Whoosh.
Damn it.
So, uh, my experience with the Amazing World of Gumball is very, very. I was fortunate enough to watch the pilot episode.
Oh, the old.
Yes, the pilot episode was the rental DVD or the rental tape, and there was just something so charming, of course, about their visual style back then, because it was before their swap to what I would like to say are particular sprites. I think like 3D, particular 2D sprites that they made, where they expanded all of the facial features and were able to make more grotesque faces because of it. Back when they just had the more simplistic style, my favorite thing was that this episode was just about two kids trying to avoid getting punishment from their mom. And Nicole is just so charming in this episode as and a very understandable but absolutely terrifying force of nature. And she chases these boys through the neighborhood as if it was a slasher. I don't know what show this is yet. Distinctly remember going like, I like this show. Only 15 minutes, not a lot of my time, and they decided to jam it in with as much chaotic content as possible. I'm with it.
Yeah, it has that very old school SpongeBob feel. Before everybody just descended into irredeemable idiocy.
The Idiocracy.
Idiocracy. That is the Idiocracy.
Hey, I thought we was in diplomacy.
No,
This is
I saw.
I thought you were an
I saw
American.
that TikTok. The TikTok thing, the TikTok hearing with the fucking government. No, we definitely live in the idiocracy.
You are when you're right, you're right.
But yes, comedy good.
Comedy is good.
Now, do any of us have any advice for other writers out there on the things that we do with writing, other than the types of comedy we personally indulge in?
Absolutely.
Know your audience.
Know your audience. That is a very good piece of advice.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, inside jokes will take you a long way.
And
But,
also, don't
I'm-
make jokes that aren't going to work for your audience.
Yeah.
Like if you're writing for young adults, don't be putting a
Boomer.
I don't know, like don't put any 2000 humor in there.
True. Comedy is a fickle and chaotic subject because it's very subjective. And so one of the best things practically to follow up on this kind of advice is to understand more general comedy concepts, rule of three, of the unexpected results and things of that nature, and see if you could always try to make light of certain elements of your story, whether it be a situation that those people are in or a particular person's reaction to that scenario. Of course, there's a way to do it wrong. There's a far, far deep end where they just appear desensitized to everything. You work on whether or not that is something, but the idea of just like, everything. In fact, just pulling up from this meme, if you find your character surrounded by fire and they just, this is fine, I might laugh. If you were intentionally writing the story for me and I happen to, but of course that easily could fall apart to somebody who wouldn't understand that reference that you're doing, and even more importantly, that's not a particularly helpful reaction, and could easily take them out. So exercise a lot of this with caution.
You don't want to take them out the moment.
Yeah, and another thing about comedy is you got to have some form of restraint, especially with it, which goes into one of the joking types that is very, very good, which is subversive humor. You take a cliche event and then you flip it on its head. But the thing with subversive humor is you can only really do it once before it starts to really lose its flavor. For instance, in Family Guy, they had this bit where Stewie would always go, "At least it's not raining," and then it'll start to rain. So they set that up in, I think, a few episodes, and then in one particular episode, Stewie's down on his luck. He just got fired from being Brian's, I think his manager,
Mhm.
And then he's just standing there in the street, and he goes, "At least he started raining." And then somebody runs up and stabs him.
No,
I think that's great.
you're correct. It was not raining that day. It was absolutely correct.
I am
This
thoroughly tickled by that.
in the realm of talking about Seth MacFarlane content, American Dad does another advice I'd like to give. Be exaggerative with your characters. Sometimes the greatest mechanism for humor is not the situation, but rather the characters themselves acting in a sometimes unrealistic and extravagant way.
Ludicrous, some might say.
Ludicrous, but not the rapper. Unless you want to make a character rapper, which I will
Unless you
personally
want to
find
make
hilarious.
your crazy character ludicrous, which would be, in fact, ludicrous.
That, I'm about to say, at that point, you're just doing Fast and Furious. You might
You're
as well
just doing
add the
South
rest
Park.
of the- you might as well just add the rest of them. My favorite American Dad gag is that Stewie wants a date for prom and he wants to ask out this one particular girl. But obviously,
Oh no!
because it's fucking Steve. So his father decides to hook himself up to a machine to take control of her and go to the dance with him. But problem, Steve, his son, is a horny. And so during the dance, repeatedly tries to bump and grind on this girl who is actually his father. And it only works in terms of a relatively believable set piece and gag because this is something Stan the father would do in terms of the level of dedication he has not only to his plans but also to his family, and this only works because Steve is an uncontrollable horny mess. So when your characters have very facets of themselves, crank it up to an 11. It won't be too disingenuous depending on how you do it, but a lot of times you'll find very things that they'll do and you'll go, this is absolutely stupid, but I love you for it.
Another slightly important thing to keep in mind is timing. You don't really want to crack a joke during the saddest moment and then be like, because like some things can get away with. It's like, oh no, so and so died. Team 4-star be like, really, dude? Really? You couldn't wait 50 seconds? You couldn't last that long?
Absolutely not.
That's pretty funny to us. But if something else is not really a comedy does it, and it's like, oh, that's kind of mean. Or someone dies and they try to crack a joke 3 seconds later. No, not the time, man.
Nope. And I get it, guys. Some of us may not know. There are some resources for you.
Yep. And there's also a thing that you can also do that is very helpful. Trial and error. You can get things wrong. You're allowed to mess up.
Yeah, a lot of comedians will tell you'll bomb more times than you see.
Sure. Take a lot of advice from your stand-up. Just in general, many of them have to be characters. Many of them try to live a life of like they are just naturally funny people and they try to be an extension of that on the stage. But that doesn't change that, like, as a form of content that we are consuming as audience members, they are playing up a character. It's hard to it's kind of strange to think of them in that way outside of the suggestion that I have of like really getting into how they do their comedy performance. A lot of the timing for them is something that they have made a skill set in refining and executing well. So picking up on those kinds of things in the stand-up comedy world, this would literally be called taking a class. Sit down, listen to their specials, really get to the mindset of like analyzing how they tell their, while also injecting levels of humor with those various techniques you may have learned away.
Can I change the subject for a second?
By all means.
Did y'all hear about the Netflix Scott Pilgrim versus the World coming out?
Absolutely, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are upset with the casting.
They
Okay,
just casted the people from the movie.
there's many
Yeah,
things
and I'm
to get
like,
hold of.
and I'm trying to like the reasonings I'm picking up is because they're like the cast from the movie acted way different than the cast that's going to be in the comic books, and it's like,
Yeah,
well, yeah,
fine.
that makes sense, but guess what? They're actors.
Also,
They can play different, like they can play the same character in a different way.
also, oh, like okay, I want more Chris Evans. So shut up.
Chris Evans was great as Lucas Lee.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
he can
want more of
play a
that.
different
I
Lucas
want,
Lee.
I want bully. I want bully America.
I want him back, but I want him to bring back the quote from him. It's like, oh, I'm a big fan. Why wouldn't you be?
That's right.
Shit is
That's exactly
great.
it.
Like, also people were like complaining, like, oh, they're getting big stars to play the characters, and it's like they already played the characters. What are we
Yeah.
complaining about?
I don't think any of them, except for like Michael Cera and the girl who played Ramona, were big stars before that movie. Like Chris Evans was playing a side character to Michael Cera. He wasn't Captain America yet. Like the only other movie that came out after Scott Pilgrim that he was in before Captain America was him playing a guy who wore questionable t-shirts in The Losers.
True.
Oh yeah, I was confused about all this because it's like y'all like the cast. You're saying
he's
you
also
like the
in Push,
cast.
and I really like Push, even though I don't think
Yeah.
it really gets. I just like Chris Evans.
Yeah. So yeah, I was just confused by it because it was like you're complaining about getting kind of exactly what you wanted. Like, sure, I understand. Maybe you want some voice actors to keep getting their job. I too also want voice actors to keep getting their jobs. But you also keep yelling about getting people who already played the roles to come back and play the roles. Then now we're being a little flip floppity.
And we've also gotten like primarily the same voice actors for like the last 20 years. I mean, they can take a.
For me, it's
Chris
just like,
Sabat can chill for like a TV show.
yeah. For me, it's just the fact of like they're just reprising the actors' roles to play the same characters but slightly different.
And
Y'all making it sound like Chris Evans can't stop being the old
Which
Lucas Lee.
also
He can be this Lucas Lee too.
Which also means my boy Wallace can deliver the golden line again. Oh, Scott, he
just left.
That's great. And I would love to see more of the adorable Nance Child.
Fucking Edgar Wright's funny as hell. Was writing.
That's right. What? Do we have?
I do have
anything else
one
we'd
last
like to say?
question.
If you really want to learn comedy, go find the people who make the President's Play in Discord channels.
The AI.
Those guys are hilarious. They know how to make a joke. They know how to craft an insult. Like, how do you call somebody a sentient aneurysm and walk away with that? No, we have to find each other in real life and we have to scrap. Like, come on, get the fuck out of
That
here.
is disrespectful.
Yes, I do have
My
one last
piece of
question.
advice, as I did open up this topic, but didn't actually give one like an asshole.
Yep.
Yeah, just
I opened it.
if you're not doing a comedy, don't overdo it. It's good to input comedy, but just try to balance. Balance is always a good thing to have, unless you're trying to make an unbalanced thing, like a comedy. And for comedy, proof. Find someone to read your stuff and tell you what they think is good or bad, and do that a multitude of times with multiple people of multiple age groups. Find out what hit and what don't.
Well, yeah.
Also, there are certain jokes that are not funny, but if you torture it enough, it'll be funny.
I mean that ties into what I was gonna say. Authenticity. Just say the joke, and I mean with your bare chest out. People will find the people who are receptive. And others will. You're loud about it at least. Maurice, what was your question?
That's my dad joke's funny.
I love that joke. Oh God.
The final question.
Dun, 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 dun. Final question.
Favorite stand-up comedian?
For me, it's between Bill Burr and Christopher Titus.
Ooh, real good, real good.
I like Bo Burnham.
Mm-hmm.
I like
The burnt ham.
Eddie Griffin.
Oh god, Eddie Griffin is great.
Eddie Griffin is
Griffin's
amazing
good.
to me. Because we got to vote for everybody black. Honestly, and this is a very specific version. I love casual Kevin Hart. You sit him down in a brunch, he is what makes the brunch very fun.
Yeah.
Some of the random clips that I hear when he's interviews or when he's just talking to people is honestly the funniest thing because of course he has Philadelphia.
I'm 58 years old. Damn. I'm sorry.
That's exactly. He's just a my guy. Like I won't say that I knew Kevin Hart in high school because he is several years older than me, but it feels like I knew him from. There's a level of personal connection I have.
Geyser.
Yes. Favorite comedian?
Yep.
And Kevin Hart is normally my go-to. I got to go see a couple of shows, but since we already said him, Nick Offerman.
Ooh, that's
yeah,
nice. That's nice. And lastly for me, R.I.P. George Carlin.
Yeah.
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 Saw so many of his specials growing up, and he was the funniest person I've ever seen.
Also, shout out to Mitch Hedberg.
R.I.P. I'm so sad that George Carlin died because his jokes today would probably.
Oh, he would make a killing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He literally go back to some of his old joke. See, I told you.
Also,
I warned
he
you
would
that
just
many
be
years
making
ago.
TikTok
You didn't
stitching
believe
people
me.
would just go, see, I told you, and that would be it.
Also, basically, anybody on the writing team for Boondocks,
Yeah.
Especially the.
they could just make any. They could just make it about anything at this point. I just want them back. I just want more content in my life.
Oh, but yep, that's comedy in a nutshell, everybody.
Thanks. So, as usual, my lovely people, go make something. Something that at least makes you laugh. By extension, you are a human being. And if you could make yourself laugh, you could probably make others laugh too.
Yep. And always remember, at least it's not raining.
Remember, everyone, if you can't make yourself laugh, at least go for a chuckle. People remember the chuckles.
People remember the chuckles almost more than what makes them die of laughter.
That is crazy to me.
Well, I mean, let's think about it. We had something that happened to both you
memory.
and Maurice recently that caused you to basically die. I don't remember what either was.
Because you weren't dying.
You went to die.
I think I caused one of them.
I experienced. I remember my own traumatic events because
All right, what caused it?
trauma.
What caused it?
The most recent thing that made us both uproar at the same time, or in our individual
Individually.
Don't do it.
Sorry, or fine. I will not do it.
I'll die.
Yes, for both of our sake, I will not do it. We should end this stream.
But yeah, go make something, and at least it's not raining.
Go make
In
something.
fact, this all works for Shy. That way, since we don't talk about it, Shy's like, "What's going on? There's a mystery. There's a mystery afoot."
You know what? Screw it. Do it.
God,
Do
you
mine,
guys do this every week to me. Do I hit the
I
stop
love it.
stream button or not?
Just stop it whenever you're ready.